Sorry about that. It's all right. My puppy's wants a bit of a hug. You all right, lad? Okay. Oh, something there like that. So, oops, stay. So yeah, it was. What are you doing? It was kind of a funny day yesterday. Let's pull you back out of the way. Come here. Let's put you down. It was a funny old day yesterday. I felt really snappy with the markets. I don't really know why. So I went and sat out in the garden for an hour or so yesterday and had a good think about trading and so on and so forth. Just try to process a few things. And I've kind of been swapping and changing a bit lately, you know, doing a bit of the range bar, doing a bit of penguin, and I get myself into a bit of a mess, I think. So I've tried to reel things back a little bit. So I'm going back at the moment to how I kind of used to trade. 2000 tick chart. This one's got the deselected end of day, and this is the normal chart. So obviously sometimes if you don't get a setup. Now above me head I have got the range bar chart. Now what I've found is this: on the 10 range bar, sometimes there can be a bit of congestion with a setup and it doesn't work. So I've upped it a little bit to the 12, and I've been looking at the 12 and 15. Okay, market is open. Now I think, depending on what the normal ATR is on the 2000, if you use that as a guideline, that works a little better. So I've set it to 3 points at the moment. Exponential, how you doing, buddy? So I've set it to 3 points, which is normally where the ATR is. And if you look there, we got 2 legs down and a really solid triple test. And look how well that worked. We got to move up with a break and a new high, a little bit of sideways, a couple of legs down, nice bullish bar, and that one worked as well. So it's still worth looking at this. But I think the 10 range bar is keeping it a bit tight, and it's allowing me to see setups where it's congested and sometimes they don't work. So I'm just keeping an eye on this above my head at the moment. So yeah, so I had a little bit of processing yesterday, and I've just got a little bit riskier lately, and I'm not quite sure why. Perhaps it's all part of the process. So I'm just going to try and trade a little better, a little bit more patient. I did miss an absolute stalker of a trade yesterday, which I shouldn't have done. So I'm just going to try and focus a little bit more and take better quality setups. I think there's a guy I chat to, a British trader, the Scruffy Trader his name is. He trades currency. He's been trading for over 20 years. And I had a little chat with him a week ago, and I said, you know, finding a bit of issues lately. He went, things will improve when you stop chasing money. Stop chasing money and trading gets easier. And I think that's what I've been doing lately. Because I've made money every month this year and I've had a solid year, I feel like I'm kind of under pressure that I have to make a certain amount of money. And I think it's just added a little bit of pressure. So I'm just going to try and calm things down a bit, slow things down. Hey, Tony, how you doing? And just try and trade a little bit better. You know, I've been jumpy and snappy lately, and it's not working. I'm not sure why. I think it's just all part of the process. You know, it takes time. You know, when you're learning something, we go through phases. Sometimes things are nice and smooth. Other times they're not so smooth. Hey, Daryl, how you doing? So I'm just going to try and trade a little bit better. I went through the first few months of the year, I was trading nice and solid. I was taking maybe 3 or 4 trades a week. My patience was good. Everything was working really well, and I seem to have sort of slipped off the wagon a little bit. So I think sometimes you do, and I think it's just a matter of saying, come on now, let's get back to doing it the way we should do. Because I am capable of doing it. I know that. I'm thinking about money too much and taking more risk than I probably should do. I think it's just all part of the way trading is, you know, when you learn it. It doesn't, you know, materialize overnight. As Max said, it does take years. Now I've been trading now 4.5 years. And I'm much better. You know what I've earned this year, and we're only just coming to June. You know, I'm 11,000 up on what I earned last year. I did 22,000 last year, 8,000 before. So, you know, every year I'm progressing and growing. So I'm not going to try and put too much pressure on myself. I'm just going to try and focus and play the game. I think we all underestimate the mental side. Absolutely. You know, I think the more you get into trading, the more you realise how much the mental side has an effect. Now, I'm a big believer in, you know, some people say it's not for everyone. I think the reason people give up trading is because they find it difficult and they don't give it the respect it demands and they don't give it long enough. I think people think, you know, a year watching the charts and you're going to be making money, and it doesn't quite work like that. You know, I'm not saying there aren't people who pick it up a lot quicker than others. You know, some people, you know, may be doing well, you know, like Max says, some people, you know, a couple of years and they're doing really well. Others may take longer. But they did a poll on the Facebook group maybe 6 months back. How long did it take you to become consistently profitable? And it was an overwhelming 4 to 6 years. So I'm just going to put less pressure on myself and just try and focus on playing the game and forgetting the money. Just wait for the setups and take them. And just leave it at that. You know, a lot of people say people overcomplicate trading, and I think I'm guilty of that. I do try and think too much, you know, and maybe get a little bit too overcautious at times. And sometimes when I see a trade, I question it instead of just taking it. But there you go anyway. So it turned into an okay day yesterday. I did come back and take another trade, and I think I ended up about $230, $240 up per account. So I considered myself fortunate yesterday because I traded silly. Fortunately, I got away with it. But I think if you do have a bad day and you trade a bit silly and you get away with it, I think you've got to count your lucky stars and say, okay, I'm lucky I've still got these accounts intact. Now let's focus on keeping it that way. Are you still on one contract, Lance? Back to no, I'm still on one contract, but my two newer accounts, I'm taking 2 contracts. I thought a lot about moving back up to 2 contracts yesterday because I don't know. It's very easy. I'm quite indecisive, and I'm you know, it's part of my DNA to swap and change. I'm forever changing my mind. You know, you guys obviously know that by now. I've got a channel down to attempts to push higher. I'm forever changing my mind. You know, if something doesn't work for a day, I'm changing things. So I did think, shall I go back to just 2 contracts? Yes, I'm risking more, but 2 contracts, 1 loss and I'm done for the day, as opposed to 1 contract and 2 losses, I'm done for the day. Because I did think maybe I was a little bit more cautious, you know, when I was on 2 contracts. So maybe that's the option. I don't know at the moment. How you doing, bud? Nice long there. Yeah, I'm not sure about this because we've just come off these highs and we may have a leg down, 2 possible attempts, and this may come down some more. We've had a channel there with a break, so it may come down. Not sure about this. It is. That would be a second entry short there. So I'm not sure at the moment whether there's not much. Incidentally, Jan, I tried to get that volume profile thing on the chart last night, but I couldn't. Was it this one? Just to have a look at it, just to see what it was about. I downloaded it. That's it, flow lens. If I select that and apply it, I couldn't seem to get nothing come up. I don't know what I'm doing. Strong cell absorption. Yeah, so you know that because of this, but I can't seem to get nothing up for some reason. I'm not sure why. You might have to message me later, mate. And okay. Something's just popped up. That didn't happen earlier. there is 2 legs up and a bearish bar there. To have a plan. Real time only for bar close for now. Yeah. Yeah, I did look at the second entry short there. I'm going to have to look into that and find out exactly how to use it. Because I don't fully understand it. If you don't understand it, there's kind of no point in having it at the moment. Need to. Yeah, you're right, yeah. What's happened there? Something's froze. Ninja Traders froze. Bear me a second. Let's just shut this down a minute. I'm not sure what's going on. Let's have a look. In task. Let me just reopen that back up. Not sure what happened there. Yeah, I do. You're right, Karina. Yeah. Oh, let me just turn my speaker off. Okay. Just get this kit back up. Someone didn't like something there. What am I missing here? Let's just reload this. I like what they've got in Replicanto. If you open 2, it gives you a warning. I like that. So let's put that back to 89. 89. Okay. Let me just check everything's opening as it should.
Order
1,
submitted.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfectly. One
Order
contract.
cancelled.
I've got my new setup there. Just check this one's opening.
Order submitted.
Yeah, okay.
Order cancelled.
Okay, so sorry about that. So yeah, we got a channel down with a second entry short which worked. That's what I was kind of looking at. So that did work. 8.1.5. I don't think I am, bud. Let me just have a look. I can't think how to check now. How do I check? Install the Zol version. Yeah, took the triple test. That one there. Yeah, I think the only thing that's concerning me at the moment is whether we're ranging. I've got overnight highs here, so we pushed through overnight highs. We made 2 attempts to push up and then dropped. So sometimes when we drop below a bit of liquidity, we will pull back initially before we push back down. So I wasn't too sure about that, just in case it triggered and came down. So it's hard to say at the moment. I So are we ranging here? Yeah, so this one is just the deselected end of day. It's basically the same chart, really. It just gives me a possible better option of a setup, that's all. See, we're above it and now we're back in again. So, Brandon, how you doing, buddy? Do you think going for one contract has helped you, Lance? I've dropped to one contract to see. I don't know, to be honest with you, mate. The trouble is, what I've found is that the less you risk, the less you invest in something, the less care you take. So, I don't know, if someone gave you $5 to bet on a horse race, you'd probably just pick a horse and bet. If someone gave you $5,000 to bet on a horse, and this is all free, you'll probably pay a little bit more attention. Same with a car. You got an expensive car, you're going to take more care. So sometimes I think the less you risk, the less careful you become. I think the more that's on the table, the more careful you are. Now, obviously, there's a little bit of difference there to get to the stage where you're scared of taking a trade. But I think I had a better win percentage when I was going for 2 points because I was much more careful. So I don't know, really. I thought about it last night. Do I go back up to 2 contracts? The only reason I went to 1 contract is when all the markets erupted with the tariffs and that ATR shot up. The ATR's kind of back. Well, it's a lot lower than it was now. I kind of like it under 3, really, but so I thought about going back up to 2 contracts. And then I thought, well, okay, maybe do some of my accounts 2 contracts, but the majority of 1 contract. So I'm still a bit on the fence there. I'm not sure what I should do, really. Between Al Brooks, don't care sizing and don't give it. Yeah. You know, I think if you were risking $10, you'd probably take a lot more trades. Now, my experience is more trades equals more losses. Everything I've read about trading is when people take less trades, they win more, or they're more successful at it. So I don't know whether to move back up to 2 contracts. Now, I'm quite indecisive, so I didn't want to just do it last night at a whim. I thought I'd just, maybe just sit on it for a couple of days and mull it over. And then decide, or maybe have something that if the ATR's over 4, trade 1 contract. If it's under 4, trade 2. So I'm not sure. I don't know what do you guys do? What do you guys typically pick a typical account, typical $50,000 account? What do you guys typically risk contract wise? Give me an idea. It's hard really, unless you don't know what other people are doing. I mean, I only have a $2,000 drawdown on the Traderify accounts, so maybe I should trade them 1 contract, and then maybe I don't know, my normal Apex PA's 2 contracts. It's hard to know, really. But yeah, like you say, there's a fine line between you're at 2 contracts, are you? I did 2 contracts from more or less the beginning, and I seem to do okay with it. But then obviously with the tariffs, I mean, when the ATR's 8, 10 and 12, you can't really risk 1 contract, in my opinion. It's way too much. So I don't know, maybe I should go back to 2 contracts. I thought was content with 3 contracts on eval and 2 on a PA. Yeah, I mean, evals, I trade about 10 contracts the most of the time. It's a good place I've dropped just to want to see how it goes. Yeah, sometimes you never know until you try. It might take the pressure off a bit, but you've got to say, since I've been trading 1 contract, I take more trades. I think that's a fact. 2 makes me be careful, 1 makes me take 2. Yeah, I think I should probably, probably do 2. The thing is, if I go for 3 points and I take go for 2 contracts. My average win then on 3 points is $300. Even if you could wait for 2 absolute beautiful setups a week, $600 a week, that's $2,500 a month. 8 trades, even if you lost the next 2, you're still $1,500–1,600 up. It's plenty of money to make. So sometimes I don't know whether you're best off going for a little bit more. You tend to be more careful. I mean, I think it's, you know, we can all agree that since I went down to 1 contract, I've taken way more trades. Yeah, perhaps I should do that. What am I on at the moment? So I'll tell you what I'll do. Let's put that to 2 contracts. So let's put this to 2 contracts. This account. And I've left my, if I show you this, so I'll take 2 contracts on my normal PAs, but these 1, 2, 3, 4, just for now, I'm going to leave on 1 because there's only 2,000 drawdown with them and they're quite expensive to buy. So I might just see how that doing. Your oversight. I don't. It's a tough one though. The thing is, if I risk too little, I take more risks. So is it a case of, you know what I mean? I think it depends how you look at trading. Me, I'm kind of a risk taker to a degree. Some people are a lot more cautious with risk. So I don't know. It's a tough one, isn't it? It's a tough one. I mean, really, it was only up until the tariffs that I was taking 2 contracts and I seemed to do well. You know, my win rate was really solid. But ever since I've gone down to 1 contract, it's not as good. No, 2 contracts for 3 points. I like 3 points. 3 points. If you take a solid trade, it always makes 3 points. And not just that, if you go for 3 points instead of 2, every trade you're making a point extra. So every 3 trades you're paying for a loss, if that makes sense. Now, 1, 2, 3, triple test. I wouldn't want to go long here at the moment because we are finding support. And now on this setup here, we got 2 legs back. Used to do 2 and 1 runner. Yeah, I've never been a fan of runners. There is a triple test here. The trouble is we're hitting support. So is that enough to push it up? I don't think it is. 2 contracts and back to win streak. I just need to take less trades, even 2 or 3 trades a week. You go 2 contracts, 2 points. Yeah. I mean, I've gone over the money and it by far 3 points makes more money. You go for 3 points now. I just need to train myself to sit. Yeah. You kind of have to do that really, don't you? But if you go for 3 points instead of 2 points, every 3 trades, you're 3 points up. What you've done really, every 3 winning trades, you bought yourself a free loss, if you know what I mean, if that makes sense. But you have to wait for good setups. And when I say good setups, I mean setups, something like that, 2 legs back that worked. Where was that? There was another cracking setup yesterday, that one. That's an absolute beauty, that is. Now, even if we get 1 or 2 a week like that, if I can get 2 great setups a week, now, granted, you have to be very selective. There's no 2 ways about it. You have to be selective. You can't just jump in at random. You know, I describe it of trades that literally jump in front of you and wave. You know, the ones where you can't click the button. Forget about the triple tests. I've watched Max System enough. They're a very stick with a triple test, though, work beautifully, mate. Seriously, if you get a good, let me show you a good example of a triple test on a range bar that worked beautifully. See, if we have a leg down there like that, we go 1, 2, 3, triple test. Look how well they work. You've got to be good at reading triple tests, but they are very lucrative. Done it again, haven't I? I freaking hate that. Ooh, it fries my brain, that. How do I... bear with me a sec. Where's the range chart? It's that one there, isn't it? How do I do it? Oh, I hate when I do that. I've stuck in between screens. I can't remember how to do it. How do I do it again? Not just triple test there. You are shorted at the highs. Yeah, but I mean, not only that is, I can't even draw a thing in it. Bear me a second. That's the one, isn't it? Maximize. There we go. Okay, so we have 2 legs down. Then what do? We have arrange, yeah? So what you're effectively doing, yes, it's a triple test, but we're in a range as well. When price comes down and it tries 1, 2, 3 times, so that is clearly 2 legs up to short it. Not only that, it's a second entry. There's a second entry short that's failed, so we're going up there. That's ticked above there and come bearish. So you've got a failure trapped. There's a higher low there and a strong bull bar off there. And look how well it worked. So if you're good at reading triple tests, they work beautifully. There's another one there. You can clearly see it, can't you? We pushed up. We went 1, 2, 3, and that worked there. There was another one, although I didn't take that one. A lot you did. We got a channel down there. I wouldn't have. I don't know, something about this I didn't like at the time, but you know what I mean? We have got 3 bounces, and not only that, usually when we get a triple test, what we're also doing a lot of the time as well is ranging. So you're just buying off the bottom. So, you know, they can be really lucrative. We have a triple test. Look how well it worked. Same with that one. Triple test. Look how well it worked. So if you get a solid triple test, they're the trades sometimes to hold on to, as opposed to going for 3 points. Even if you ride this down per bar, you know, if you follow each bar down before it comes and gets you, there's the next bar there, you're looking at 10 points before you get stopped out, which is more than 3 times what I trade. So good triple tests are incredibly lucrative. So they're really worth paying attention to. So this to me now looks like the top of a range. Now we've got to move up. This could be 2 attempts to push lower before we push higher, but I don't know because it's very rangy. No. So we could be getting something like that before it pushes higher. I don't really know. Or it could be moving down. It just looks like it's going more sideways to me. So I'm going to put that there because we have got some support down there. Let's just pop it there for now. Double trap. Yeah, it kind of is a double trap, isn't it? Yeah, because you've got a failure, which is trapping the second entry short. And then you've got the trade, which is trapping the failure. Yeah. See, if you look on this one, it was quite a nice looking triple test. My only slight, I mean, what you could say is we got a channel down with a break. Market made 1, 2 attempts to go lower. Or you could argue there, 3 attempts to go lower. 1, 2, 3, and it pushed up. But look at the move you get after a triple test. So that went up, let's say 9 3/4 points. So triple tests, if you see a nice one, it's worth holding on a bit because they can be really lucrative. Second entry long. I wouldn't take a trade here at the moment because we've made 1, 3 attempts, so it may come down and test these lows. So I think a long here at the moment is just a bit risky. Now, I could be wrong. There may be something like that up. But we're hitting a flat spot here. So my gut feeling is this is probably going to come down and test this area here. I could be wrong, but... preferred touch of a long trend. See, I haven't got a long trend channel at the moment. This for me is more rangy. We've clearly got a flat area here and here as well. So if you get long gear, you may get stuck. And there's a failure there. Now, I wouldn't want to go short here at the moment because we are right in the middle of what looks like a range. Now, will that work? I'm guessing it probably will. But it's right in the middle of this, and this is starting to look a bit sideways. So I have that saying in my head, don't diddle in the middle. Now, as I'm going for now to contracts on some of mine, I'm going to be a little bit more sensible. Got news? Have we had the news flash? We haven't we? I'm glad you said that, bud. A reason not to get in. Did I get the little flash on the screen? I must have not been paying attention. Don't diddle in the middle. Yeah, absolutely. It's just, I heard it somewhere, don't diddle in the middle. At the moment, this to me, if you look here, we look like we're forming the top of a range, even if it's a temporary range. And look at the bottom, we look like we're forming the bottom of a range. But look at this now. Someone mentioned a second entry long there. That's going to get stopped out, in my opinion. Been burned so many times. Yeah, I tell you what, being burned, don't consider that a bad thing. It's a fantastic learning tool. Doesn't seem to be working. I don't know. Not sure. Okay. So there's the news. So if you did take that one, you got ticked out by one tick there. And it shot up. So yeah, when it's doing this, you just stay out of it, really. My guess is it'll probably test these lows. That news didn't do anything bar a flick up and down, I think. Yeah, I mean, if you did take that long, I don't know what points it yielded. I mean, the bar wasn't fantastic anyway, but if you went one tick above there, you'd have got 0.75 before it came down and stopped you out. I wouldn't take that, but it is right really in the middle of what's looking at the moment like a temporary range. And rightly so as well. After this move up, are we going to push higher or are we going to come lower? So there's a bit of uncertainty here, which is why the things tends to, you know, it's going a little bit sideways. Yeah, I mean, it depends what you go for. But in all honesty, if you look where that is, that's pure congestion. Pure congestion there. And it's going sideways, and it's right in the middle of what looks like a range. So my opinion is you're going to get stuffed way more than it's going to do well. We got a little move down here, see, so you don't know what's going to go on, but this to me is looking ranging, especially when we bounce 3 times off this. Market's tried, we got a channel up there, let's draw that. We got a clear channel up there with a break. The market went 1, 2, made 3 attempts to push high and couldn't, and now it's going sideways. So this is an area of uncertainty, otherwise known as maybe ranging or congestion or whatever you call it. So my guess is this is going sideways, so it's a no trade zone in the middle really. Unless you really know what you're doing. Mac will say, stay out of this stuff, especially in the middle. So you just never know. This just reduces the chance of a winning a trade in the middle here, because a lot of times it just overlaps it, goes up, down, up, down. You go long, it'll trigger you, come down, stop you out. You go short, it'll trigger you, go up, stop you out. Tends to do that, up, down, up, down, up, down, just backwards and forwards, clearing out any little bits of liquidity. Shot down, took out that possible long, shot up, took out that possible short, triggered the short, shot up, took it. So it tends to be, you know, lapping backwards and forwards. So at the moment, it's just a bit, let's see what happens here, see if we get the same sort of reaction here. The more times it hits this line, the more chance it's got of coming down, I think. So, I mean, if we get above it, it kind of is 2 attempts to go lower, isn't it? But I prefer that second attempt down here, really. And as I say now, going for 2 contracts, only on my 3 Apex PAs, my 4 Traderfy accounts, I'm still doing 1 contract at the moment because there's a little bit less of a drawdown there. I only ever use a limit order, I do. Trouble is, if you sometimes the market order, if you drop it in 1 tick above and market shoots up quickly, it'll hit that order and kick it out, and you've got to redo it again half the time. Then you've moved. Whereas a limit order will just sit exactly where you drop it until price hits it. So your limit order, if price hits it, even if it hits it right the second you drop it, it's guaranteed to open a trade. A market order isn't. If you drop a market order 1 tick above that bar, and when you drop it, that shoots up and hits it, it'll kick the order out. That's why I only ever use limit orders. I just find a lot more success with it. I don't miss out on any particular trades. So we're getting a little bit of rejection again. Is it enough? Yeah, limit. I only ever use limit orders. I'd say probably 1 in 3 times. If market's moving quick, you drop a market order and 1 tick above and price shoots up, boom, it'll kick it out. And then you've got to right click, open it again, and then do it again. And it may have already moved then. You kind of lose a vital couple of seconds doing that. So it's hard to know, yeah. See, Marco's got the same idea. Looks more like a choppy range. It is really. It's just chopping backwards and forwards. And I mean, you never know when it is going to move up. It may do there or it may come down. What I will say is there is kind of something there, but we're going flat. So that is a bearish pattern, that is. A rising wedge. We push up and we're wedging. That's a bearish pattern, that is. And I know we're not pattern traders, but if you look at that, that's a rising wedge. It's a perfect rising wedge, which is supposed to be bearish. Let me have a go. Let's have a look at a rising wedge. Yeah, it's flat across the top and going up slowly. It's hitting more support here. I've got it on my, I've got one of these, probably can't see it very well. You've drawn an ascending triangle. See, I've got it as a rising wedge. My mouse pad don't lie. Where is it? So, oh, or an ascending triangle. Mind you, I've got multiple things here. Yeah, rising wedge. That one there. Can you see that? Probably can't really. No, you can't. It just says a rising wedge. We push up. Let's have a look at it again. Yeah, rising wedge. We push up. We go flat across the top, and we rise here. It's showing on here as a bearish pattern. It pushes up, bounce, 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 and drops out the bottom, which so far it seems to do. If it was bearish pattern, both lines would be slanted. Yes, it's doing what the diagram don't like. See, it says here it's a rising wedge, and it goes up like that, down like that. The top stays flat, and the bottom rises, and then it shows it as a bearish pattern. Shows it in red, bearish pattern, and it shows price comes out. Ah, okay. Or does it come out, bounce, and then push up? Well, I mean, look at that. Think about what's happening with price. The sellers are holding, failing to push higher, failing to push lower. I don't know. I don't know, mate. It's just, says it's a reversal. I've got one of these cheat sheets here. It says reversal. It says a rising wedge. Now it's got it in red as if it's coming down. And look what happens. It's rocket. Well, I say rocketing down. It's just dropped out at the bottom, 10 or 12 points. So I don't know. I'm just showing what the dive. Rising wedge. Flat on the top. Rising up. Oh, right. And it's showing to short here and take profit down here. But as I say, I don't trade them necessarily. But when I see something that looks like a pattern, I tend to have a look at me little box. Now, obviously, if this was coming down as well, then that would be a different story. But the fact that it's hitting support, sooner or later, you'd think it would drop out. I don't know. But what I will say, that aside, it's clearly going sideways, and we've had a breakout that's failed. So interesting. But yeah, it shows it to short there and take profit. TP at the bottom about here. Which kind of it worked. A bullish market, and it's, yeah. See, at the moment we're struggling to get out the top. So yeah, I know it's generally bullish at the moment, but with going for just 3 points, all I need to kind of do is what it's doing right at the moment, as opposed to what it's doing over the rest of the day, sort of thing. Someone asked me a question at the moment. How long did it take you to figure out exactly what technical trade? It's a hard question, that, mate. I don't know, really. I mean, when you learn something, you know, you kind of learn it relatively quick. But it's applying it to the right context of the market. So I don't know, really. You know, you kind of forget. You know, what I will say is, the way I describe this is every day is a school day, because, you know, you're constantly learning. So I don't know, it's hard to say. And I think that's possibly because most people, including me, focus on... Did someone show you? Yeah, I learned from Mac. Mac's price action. Let me show you his website. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll show you his YouTube channels. He's a trader that's been trading for, I think, for about 28 years. So let me show you his website. Sorry, his YouTube channel. And this is the guy here. He's been putting videos on here for 13 years. But he's got a website as well, and he charges you the princely sum of $125 per year. There we go. Okay, so this is Mac here. Visit channel, Pat's Trade. And if you look back on videos, he's got videos going back oldest 13 years. And he makes 4 videos every single week. Well, he's 2,600 videos. And he's got a website, which is this. And that's how I kind of learned. I just stumbled across it accidentally, really. I was looking at 2 US guys trading a system. And I was about to pay, but that's it there. There's a bunch of videos. There's dozens of videos about how to trade, different examples and what have you. You can email him asking questions. You get a midday chart 4 days a week. It's vast. There's that much stuff on there. There's various different indicators. But to be a member, I think it's still $125. I don't know at the moment. I'm pretty sure it's not gone up. But I've had, I think, 3 years with him over the last 4 years. But it's just priceactiontradingsystem.com. He's a great trader. He's a great guy, and he doesn't rip you off. He doesn't make a lot of money out of this. He makes his money out of trading. So that's kind of how I learned, kind of accidentally, really. But like any trading system, understanding the strategy is the simple thing. Applying it to the correct context of the market, that's the key. You know, you can explain to someone what a second entry is in 5 minutes, but taking that second entry at the key time is the real art and skill that takes time. I remember Tom H talking about conversation as the guy who wrote the book Trading Platforms Now. Yeah, I mean, you may be right, but I don't know. I'm just, if ever I see what looks like a pattern, I just look at this cheat sheet I got in. It just shows it. It just says rising wedge, and it says at the top of the wedge, take the short and take the profit at the bottom here, which kind of worked, but I don't know, to be honest with you. Now there's an ascending triangle as well. Where's the difference? There is something called an ascending triangle, which looks exactly the same as Yeah, actually, it's continuation, but it did. I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't pay much attention. I certainly don't trade them. I kind of pay attention to them just out of curiosity. Just, you know, if I want to take a short and it's on a head and shoulders and it's showing bearish, it might just give me a little bit of. But yeah, there's two that looks exactly the same. One's saying an ascending triangle and one's a rising wedge. But okay, so the rising wedge says a reversal pattern. The ascending triangle says continuation. So if we're going up, maybe this is a continue. It's hard to say really because we're kind of ranging as well. Hopefully, been pretty private though. Apparently, he had someone show up in his house before. Are you talking about Mac, are you? Oh, you're talking about Mac. Gotcha, yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's been trading for years. He's very good at what he does. Trading's not easy. It doesn't matter. There's no strategy that's going to make you a fortune. All strategies are more or less the same. It's just a way to enter and exit the market. If you look at Mac's strategy, he's incredibly successful at it. But like any strategy, it's tough. Because obviously people trading these markets are very, very clever people. And, you know, you're going up against skilled traders who know how to manipulate markets and all this sort of stuff. Hey, Speedy, how you doing, buddy? Someone show up at Mac's door. So he's more private now. Yeah, there's all sorts of nutters out there. You never know what anybody's going to do, do you? So let's see what happens here. Are we going to get rejection again? We went up here a few times and then we hit it again and we got rejected again. So if we can get above all this, it may go. Computers, absolutely. I mean, you can be successful at this and make a lot of money, but I think people underestimate how long it takes. I certainly did. I never realised it was this much in depth as what it is. And the slight thing I would say about PATs is when you're a newer trade, you're going to get away with less. So if you make an entry, say here, this one here, and you put a stop down here and a profit down here, that one worked. You know, if you traded this, something like that, you put your stop maybe at this previous swing or this previous swing and you put your profit up here, it went up, it came back a bit, but it worked. Whereas with PATs, we put our signal right one tick below the signal bar. So sometimes it'd trigger you, stop you out and end up going where you thought it would. So that's the slight negative about this. And that's why it takes quite a while to learn. Now, I've only really traded this one strategy, to be honest with you. So it's very hard for me to know how long other strategies take for you to work. But what I will say, obviously, the bigger the stop, the more risk, but the more chance that, you know, the less chance you're going to get stopped out. But you obviously have to mitigate that with your profit. You know, you can't go for 2 points and have a 6 or 8 point risk unless you're incredibly good. You'll probably just tweak the one. Yeah, I've tried different styles as opposed to strategies. Penguin. But what I've found is you try Penguin for a couple of days, you get some success, you think, fantastic, this is working for me, let's move on to this. And then you get a couple of losses and then you may go back. But what I will say is I've spent more time, I've spent 4 years learning this. So I think really I'd be mad to forget what I've learned and move on to something completely different. But as Jan says, sometimes if I watch traders that who have I been watching occasionally, Tanya trades. I watched her a couple of times take trades, and when she took trades from a price action point of view, I wouldn't take that one, and she takes it and it stops her out. So I think if you look at other strategies, what you've learned, every strategy you learn will give you a certain amount of skills that you can apply to a different way of looking at the market. I wouldn't completely get rid of one strategy. I would maybe add to it, add another setup to it that, may be slightly different. So it's, it swings and roundabouts, isn't it? It's not all plain sailing. Options prices. Yeah, Jamie, if you learn skills, they will help you in any kind of form of trading that you do. As I say, me watching some traders who are trading ICT, it may come up and fill a gap or fill a fair value gap here, but because of what's previously happened, I might not want to go long, and some traders may do it, and I can spot where it's not necessarily going to work. So, it's not easy trading, is it? But whatever skills you learn will help you in your trading career. So, learning a lot about a lot of stuff, I think, will only really help you. We only need 1 to 2 trades a day. I mean, I tell you what, if I can get one solid trade, back to trading 2 contracts, if I can get 2 clear winners in a week, that'll make me clearly over $2,500 per account. We know how many your accounts you can have with the likes of Apex and multiple accounts, so there's plenty of money to be earned for very little solid trades in a week. It's just filtering out the crap and waiting for those nice setups, the ones that really fail. And it's not that easy to do consistently, because we all have days like yesterday. I had one on me yesterday. I was in a funny old mood all day. I was stressed. My wife said, "What's the matter with you?" And I said, I don't know. I know I'm stressed and fidgety, but I don't know why. So, you don't know what's going to happen in your life, whether you're tired, you might not have had great sleep. I don't know, you may have not done your exercise. There's all sorts of things that can affect mood. My daughter's 16 and a half now, and she's been seeing a young lad, and she's out later at night. I'm a little bit worried about her. I need to know where she is and all this. So there's just a few other things maybe going on in the background that might make me a little bit fidgety. And that may be it. But I joined the gym a month ago and I've only been once. So in fact, I was having a conversation with my wife. I said, if I start going to the gym, lifting a few weights, it might get rid of a bit of frustration. Great for sleep. Exercise, as we know, lifting weights is great for, keeping your muscles strong, keeping your joints strong. I know my mum suffered in her later years with osteoporosis. Lifting weights is great for keeping bone density. It's got all sorts of benefits. We know the benefits of, it keeps you calm, burns off excess energy, and all sorts of things. So I said to my wife, it's easy to join a gym and to say, I'm going to go to the gym, and all of a sudden things get in the way, and the practice is simple, but getting your arse in gear to do it every day is. So I've made a plan today that I'm going to go to the gym and have a good old workout later. Your mum has that? Yeah, I mean, my mum sadly passed away about 2-3 years ago now. 74, relatively young. But yeah, I mean, she fell over once, broke her upper arm and her pelvis just from literally falling over in the garden. So, we know lifting weights is good for that. Helps keep muscles strong and helps muscle, keeps your muscles nice and strong and dense. Obviously, if you're lifting weights, it's good for, your soft tissue, stuff like your ligaments and all that. And it does help keep your bone density. And not to mention things like mental health and your sleep and all sorts, your whole being really. So it's something I want to get back into and start doing regularly. what happens in our private life is affected in our working life as well, in one degree or another. One with the conditioned bones to exercise, vitamin D and calcium, especially in the UK. Yeah, I do take a vitamin. Well, I tend to take vitamin D throughout the winter months. But in the summer, I was out in the garden yesterday. Now the weather's starting to get warmer. I took the patio set out last night, and I got the jet wash out for an hour, and I was blasting all that. And I had a little whiskey when I was going out there. Nice sunshine. Mowed all the lawns as well yesterday. I'm cutting there. We've got a big thick hedge which goes for about 30 yards down our garden, so I'm going to cut that the next couple of days. And we put our pool up in the next couple of days as well. We have a pool in the garden. Sounds a bit luxury, but it's just one of those 12-foot Intex steel frame ones. But we bought spent £150 on a pump, proper sand filter, an automatic one. And that goes on twice a day. So it's nice to go and have a nice cool dip out there in the summer. So I think everyone's mental health's a little bit better in the summer. We all feel a little bit more awake, don't we? You get up in the morning, it's light. You have to look after yourself. Yeah, even things like drinking enough water, getting enough sleep, simple things that you would think were pretty simple to follow. But sometimes you get involved in your life. And another one I'm trying to look into a little bit more is meditation. We all tend to work on autopilot, and sometimes we don't just stop and smell the coffee, really. You're a man, don't worry. It's just exercise keeps fit and handsome and healthy. Yeah, I don't know about keeping you handsome, but it certainly keeps you healthy. Well, I suppose, yeah, if you keep yourself in shape and in trim, you look better and feel better, don't you? So, we've got a channel up here, possible second entry long. I don't know how I feel about this. Is this a bit sideways? I don't think it's that a bad trade, but we've not got much room to the highs. We've got no room to the highs. And some British trader, thank you very much. I'll take a photo of that in a minute. Yeah, it's a bit stacked up. Now, it may work. It has bounced off support, but unfortunately, the thing ain't finished yet. So if we go a tick, there's barely a point. Price action is continuation of yesterday's slow grind. Yeah, I think you're going to be right, Tony. I know it's the worst trade in the world to go higher, but there's no room to the highs, is there? And you don't know. We've found support. You don't know if we've pushed up with a break. We're going to make another attempt, and this thing may fail. Now, if this is ranging, which it is, a lot of the times when we have a breakout one side, we have one the opposite side. And that's why I'll be careful. It's clearly congested. If you look at this chart, which is still the same 2000 tick chart, this bar's ticked and it's starting to struggle a bit, but it may work. But there's no room to the highs, unfortunately, regardless of whether I think it'll work. Do you ever factor in economic data being released like FOMC? Not so much, because I'm a price action trader. I only go for a small amount. If I was going for bigger moves, then I'd probably pay more attention to it. But because I really only go for 3 points, which is kind of that, in the grand scheme of things, if you get the right signal here, you'll make that. If I was going for a bigger move, then yeah, I may pay a little bit more attention to that. But yeah, all I make sure I'm aware is when there's news, so I can avoid. Apart from that, I don't pay too much attention to what the news says. I just tend to follow the price action. And the only challenging thing on top of that is to stay disciplined. And that's the key. Sometimes you got to keep your patience and discipline, and sometimes it's very easy for it to slip. So, we've moved up and we've clearly got two pushes lower. Now, that may be a really good set up for a penguin. My only slight issue with going long here is I'm thinking, is this going to turn into a bigger range? So that's why I'm a bit cautious there. That I wouldn't take. It's a massive bar, and you don't know. We've had a strong reaction to here. You don't know whether it's going to trigger, hit that EMA, and then come down into the kind of guts of this range. But there's, as we know, a lot of times price will go up across and up, which it may well do. But sometimes, you know, we've only just got out the top of this and we're already going sideways. Now we're above this and yesterday's highs. It doesn't seem in a hurry to move up, which concerns me. Sometimes the slower price goes up, the quicker it can rush down, and that makes me a bit nervous. Did you get the Trump now is a good time to buy before tariffs got delayed? Yeah, I mean, from an investor's point of view, or a swing trader's or a long-term position holder's point of view, yeah, absolutely. But I only go for a very small move. I can't hold positions overnight trading prop firms. What I will say is on this range chart, which I haven't looked at, that actually doesn't look too bad. 2 legs back. There's a second entry short failure then, and that worked nice. So I must keep an eye on looking at this. I must keep my eye on this from time to time. Or options that day. Yeah, I wouldn't even, I don't even understand options, mate. I've never traded them. I started on currency about just over 4.5 years ago, and that's kind of what I did. And then the only thing that frustrated me with currency is you got charts coming out your arse. They're everywhere. We were looking at the six majors, then minors, and we were trend traders, so we're constantly looking at a piece of software to give you trends, and we had multiple screens. And I just found I spent more time searching through screens. And then I saw these two traders, the 2 US traders, trading one chart, one time frame, one screen, and I thought that was a bit of me, and I like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they all differ. You know, I know the principle's the same. You look for a setup and you take a trade. Now, the more points you go for, the more you kind of need to understand a little bit more about the fundamentals and maybe how news is affecting price over more of a longer period. And when I say longer period, maybe half a day to a couple of days or a week. But because I only go for such a small amount of movement, I just tend to follow the price. And if you're a price action trader and you're really good at it, you can make a lot of money. That's all I go for, just a small amount of movement like that. So I don't need to know what price is overall doing, because even as we're generally bullish, price can still come down and there can still be a trade. You know what I mean? So I can trade in all different directions, obviously depending on what the overall is. I mean, if the overall is bullish throughout the day, which kind of yesterday was, generally I'm only looking for longs. Initially, it looked like it was ranging, and then we had 2 bounces and it went up, which is kind of very similar to what we're looking at today. We came down, we went up, we came down. But this move up with a couple of attempts to go lower and some continuation is very similar. Push up. The trouble is, we're doing it very slowly, but there may start to be a bigger channel working here, in which case, once I can get the direction sewn down, then I can start thinking about looking for longs. But to me, this is looking like a push-up with, I'm going to call that one move down because we had a few bounces. So one move down there. So one leg down, a bit of sideways, a second leg down, a breakout which failed, and then it took off and started to go into a slow move up. So my guess is we're probably heading up for a second leg. Now, if I look back here, this, yeah, I mean, this, you know, there's still plenty of height where you can still push up. But my concern is sometimes the slower price goes up, the quicker it can rush down. Yeah, see what I mean? So kind of two legs back. If you took long there, this might be coming down. It's hard to say. That's my concern. It looks like it's going up, so you jump in and all of a sudden it can turn. So I've got to wait for it to come down and test something and give me an indication that this thing is going to turn up a bit higher. That may look a bit better. It's tough one. Satellite internet. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, if you can trade this style and you're good at it, you can make a lot of money and you can have a ridiculously high win rate. I know one of our traders, Dan, hasn't lost a trade since last October. Now he goes for 6 ticks. So you can be very, very good at it. And price action, the more you read it, the more you realise how damn accurate it really is. And when you get good at it, you get good at reading price. You can make this work. And like with any, I mean, there's a million different ways to trade the markets. And, you know, everyone gets used to a certain way and thinks this is the best way, this works for me. And you know what I mean? But there's multiple ways of trading. Like fibre. Yeah, I know a lot. What do they call it? High frequency trading or something. You know, sometimes they get in the market a little bit early and manipulate certain things. Unfortunately, the more money you've got, the bigger accounts. You know, a lot of these institutional traders can literally move markets, can't they? Whereas the likes of me and you don't even make a slight dent. You just have to kind of follow how price works. And price works really how the institutions or the market movers, whatever you want to call them, tend to trade. And it's kind of understanding what they do and trying to kind of follow on with the way, you know. But if you took that now for a bigger leg up, look what happened. All of a sudden, you're not far off getting stopped out. So I don't think that's... No, so it's a tough one, isn't it? Is this going to bounce in, push up? Are we going to move back in? Are we just going to clear liquidity before we push higher? But we've pushed above him. We've had quite a solid bounce here. Now all of a sudden it's not far from getting stopped out. So yeah, so Mac's just posted his trade. He's basically got exactly the same thing. Channel break, new high, and a range drop out the bottom. So same thing I'm looking for. Push up with a break, sideways, drop out the bottom, and a push out the top. And all of a sudden this push out is failing already. And that's what concerns me when the market is a very slowly moving up. The slower it goes up, often the quicker it will come down. So I get very cautious about getting into long trades when it's very slowly grinding and it doesn't look strong. A lot of the times you'll get in, if your patience goes, and whoosh, down it'll come. 20% slower, yeah. So yeah, the thing about being a retail trader is we know very little about the nuts and bolts of how all these things work. Now, if you work for, you work for a big city bank or institutional trader, as we call them, they know how the things run. They know how these operate. They know how to manipulate the markets. It's exactly the same with the whales in the crypto market. You've only got to get a few whales to sell Bitcoin, and all of a sudden everyone panics and sells Bitcoin. What do? Buy it at a lower price. There's so much legal manipulation that goes on. When you've got a lot of money, it's a lot easier to make money. And it's, if you can, make literally cryptocurrency drop a certain degree, you can create a little bit of panic. And people sell, price drops down, they buy it at cheaper. There's all sorts of stuff goes in. But the physics of how they get around each other. Oh, absolutely, yeah. I wish, I'd love to have some sort of book about how the mechanics of all these markets work and how these institutions, work within the markets, and possibly, it's manipulation, but it's kind of legal, isn't it? They do have to adhere to certain rules and regulations. Insider trade and all stuff like that is all very carefully monitored, isn't it? But there's nothing that says, you can't, if you've got a huge amount of Bitcoin, you can't all of a sudden sell it all. If you've got enough of it, it can make the, Bitcoin drop a little bit. And if you know, a lot of, especially maybe newer people in, you know, that delve in crypto, they put money in. As soon as it starts to go down, they panic and sell. And then what happens? The sensible traders, you know, whenever there's blood in the markets, the sensible traders, or what's it's a buy-in. Now, if Bitcoin drops by 10%, in generally when it's a bull market, it's a fantastic time to buy in, because usually, you know, as we know, in a bull market, price still comes back. And if generally we're in an overall bull market, the best time to buy is when we get a pullback. You know, as soon as it starts to come back here, what happens? Most retail, well, not traders or investors, are panicking and selling. What happens? Smart guys are buying here. Class with Lance today, yeah. I'm just talking about things I've picked up and learned. But I'd love to know a little bit more about the mechanics. Two charts on Lance's screen. What's the difference? The only difference is they're both 2000 tick charts. The only difference is with this one is it's got break at end of day deselected, and all that does is gives slight difference in the bars. And sometimes when you get a second entry long here, it's a great setup, but the signal bar isn't perfect. Have a look on this one, and often you'll get a better bar. So it's having two cracks of the whip, for want of a better word. Is this a shoulder, head and a shoulder? Because we seem to be struggling. Is this going to come down for a second leg? My guess is it possibly will. It might not, but we do seem to be struggling to. Now, there is going to be liquidity down here, here and here, so I wouldn't be surprised if this thing drops down and clears out some of this liquidity before it does what it wants to do. But it's not strong in its move up. So I'm just, obviously when we trade, we want to know what direction the market's going to. I recommend reading on, I suppose, my market edge of, let me take a photo of that, because that's my phone. Bear me just 1 second. I'm just going to grab myself a quick drink. I'll be 1 minute. I want to get my phone and take a photo of that. Bear me a sec. Okay, let me just take a photo of that. Yeah. AG, thanks for that, bud. I'll have a look at that later. So Lance has abandoned the range bar chart. No, not at all. It's up here, bud. It's here. In fact, I changed it over to 12. I think what works better on this range bar is if the range bar is similar to the ATR we got on the 2000 tick chart. At the moment, I've got this set to 3 points, which is, that works better. So no, it's just up there. That's all out the way. So I think if it's similar to the ATR here, you get a better setup, I think. So no, I haven't. I've just abandoned the penguin style for now. I'm still trading it my normal way. Just trying to trade it a little bit better, that's all. But no, I have the range bar above my head. I've got it set on the 12 range at the moment, which is 3 points, which is similar to what this has been. So what I've found is sometimes there are setups in congestion that look good on there but get caught out. So if you extend that range bar a little bit, maybe from 10 to 12 or from 10 to 15, but if you base it closely on what the ATR is here, I think you get a better result. And just looking at the setups earlier, there was a really nice looking triple test. I think that was an absolute beauty. And when you get nice setups like that, they work so well. I mean, look at that. If you get a setup like that, it's worth holding on. There was one there, but we were coming off these highs. So bounce, bounce, bounce. Same again, worked really well. So I am trading this as well. I've just got it on the chart ahead. That's all. Chart on top. If I do take a setup, but I think if you adjust it, when I had it at the 10 and this was around 4, there was reasonable setups, but they looked like congestion on here and they were failing a little bit. But when I extended, I was playing around with it last night. There's another setup there. We got to move up there. You could say triple test, and that worked well as well. That was an absolute beauty, but it was around about 8 o'clock this morning, something like that. So obviously too early. But yeah, I like that. But at the moment, I've just got my normal 2000 tick chart. This is the one with end of day. I think the problem is I was trying to do penguin as well, and I think I was getting myself a bit muddled up. So I've gone back up to 2 contracts just on my 3 Apex accounts and my 4. I'll show you my 4. Excuse me, my 4 Traderfy accounts. I'm just keeping it 1 contract for now. So I've just these 3. I've got at 2. I seem to be a little bit more cautious when I was at 2. I seem to take less trades and had a better win rate. And I think since I've dropped down to 1 contract, I'm taking more trades, and more trades equal more losses for me. So excess gamma during the day, Valorant charm at the end. Yeah, that doesn't mean a great deal to me, mate. I'm sorry. Yeah, where are you from, Jamie? You're from the UK, aren't you? We talked before. I think we have, haven't we? I'm sure we have. Yeah, I think we have. US, yeah, US, okay. I'm just not sure what's going on at the moment. That doesn't look terrible. America. Okay. Is this a channel here? Trouble is, it doesn't seem to be very strong, does it, mind you? Yeah, I like that range chart. The only trouble is if you have that range chart a little bit too low, you can get caught out in a bit of congestion. But if you just increase it a bit, and I've got it at 3 points where this was, and it kind of works okay there. So I think if you kind of get it similar to what the ATR on is here, I think you're going to get the best result. But I look at this chart. If I'm looking at a setup, I can have a quick glance here. They're basically the same charts. Sometimes you'll get a better signal bar on one than the other. So that's all I'm having these two charts for. And the one upstairs, up top, it's just the range bar. Some strong volume at 59.60. We'll get a reaction there. Yeah. We're close to that now, aren't we? US stock markets generally the best. Yeah. In fact, I have a chunk of my pension actually invested in the S&P 500. I don't think you go far wrong with that. You're invested in 500. You're invested in the best of the best. I think typically the US get better growth than the UK. 1,000 chart as your strategy lands to measured move. The 1,000 tick chart. What I've realised, bud, is you can, if you look at the 1,000 tick chart one day, you may find some setups. If you look at the 1,500 tick one day, you may find some setups. If you look at the 1,000, you're going to find setups, I think, on all different time frames. And I suppose it's easy. I've done it myself, get into the habit of looking at this today and thinking, oh, that's deal some trades. That's really give us some trades. Let's look at that tomorrow. And it's very easy to start swapping and changing back and forth. And before you know it, you're completely confused. Same with the range. You know, I was looking at the range bars. I was looking at one of these. I was looking at Penguin. And, you know, sometimes, some days you might get a better day on the 1,000 tick chart. Sometimes the 15, sometimes the 2,000. The range bar, I think, sometimes gives you the same information, but I think it's a bit clearer, which is why I like that as well. So, you know, let's grow their money. Yeah, I mean, I think the S&P 500 typically is yielded about 10% a year. Now, I was talking to this about a family friend the other day. They were going to invest in something, and I said, yeah, I would put it in something like the S&P 500. Oh, I don't know, I might go and see a financial advisor. I went, the thing is it risky? And I went, well, you're investing in 500 of the best, aren't you? You're not going to get anything really safer. They went, well, what if you have a recession? And I went, it doesn't matter what you invest in. You can, if you have a recession, it's going to affect everything. Oh, I don't know whether I should put money in then. I went, well, if you think about your pension, have you got a pension? Yes. Okay. Well, your pension's invested. No one puts money in the bank. It's always good to have some cash, but if you've got a lot of money and you want to, you have to invest it. You know, if you're investing, you're not putting it in for a week, are you? You know, markets go like that, but generally they go up. You know, now obviously we had COVID, that dropped, but then it recovered. In fact, you mentioned 60 there, Jan, didn't you? So you're never going to go wrong. And I've heard people like Warren Buffett talk about you're not going to go wrong in the S&P 500. If you can get 10% a year, you're not going to far wrong. And that's compounded as well. You know, every bit of interest you earn is earning interest on top. Exactly. You're never going to go wrong as an investment in the S&P 500. Never. Especially if you're invested long term. Now, if we had another COVID, yeah, it's going to get affected. Of course it is. But every other stock is going to get affected. Everything you invest in is going to drop a little bit at tough times. It's the way they work. But markets do that. But over a long period of time, they do this. So, I don't know whether I should get some expert advice. You're more a trader. I went, you know, what you got to do. But I understand people are, you know, cautious with money. But the guy I was talking to has had about £20,000 stuck in a bank for the last 2 years. So sometimes you've got to let people just make their own decisions, haven't they? But it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? I mean, if you're a farmer, you don't just buy, you know, I read once about this bull, a bull farmer, and he had this one bull that cost £1 million. Now, that's all good and well. It's got a great pedigree and all this, but if anything happens to that one bull, your whole business is down. Whereas if you buy 50 bulls and one of them gets sick, it doesn't really make much of a difference. But the best thing to do is, I don't think you go far wrong with that, 10%. And I think it's been more than that over the last 5 years. Now, if you'd have caught the bottom or close to a month ago when the market had really dropped because of the tariffs, you know, you go back about 4 weeks, great time to buy down here. And we're not a million miles away. I think, is it 620 all-time high, something like that? Let's have a look on the daily. I'm sure it's around 620. Oh no, maybe a bit higher. Oh, 620, sorry, 6200. So, yeah, okay, so you got all-time highs here. So, I mean, we actually, look how far we dropped. I mean, didn't that shave about 12, 14% of it, something like that? I mean, we came down to around about 480, so that's about 15, 18%. It's something like that. So if you'd have bought down here, that would have given you your lump sum a boost. But we're not far away from all-time highs. I mean, over since, when was that? That was April. Early April. We're 2 months later, we've recovered nearly 3/4 of it. So next couple of weeks. Now, I don't know, I've heard things, the tariffs are illegal, they're suspended. I don't know whether things will change, but I don't think it's going to be long before we're back up to the top again. You know, that's the thing. These markets recover. They drop for one reason or other, and they recover, then they drop again. But ultimately, you know, price continues up. The good thing about being in the trading business is you do learn lots of bits. Granted, a lot of it is useless and probably junk anyway, but you do learn stuff. And that's another reason I like streaming. You meet all sorts of people with less experience, people with more experience, people who've learned other bits of skills and stuff like that. I'm just going to drop that like that now. I think that is probably a little bit better. It may be down here, actually. That looks like a spike in a channel. That might be a better option. So we're right at the top of this now, so I would envisage a little bit of a pullback. It is pushing up. Slowly. I think there's a good chance. We had a move up. We made 2 clear attempts to push back. And we got down there, didn't we? Cleared out liquidity here, and then it just took off. Pushed up. Can't continue at that sort of angle, so then we ended up going a little bit more like this. So we've been buying gold since 2014. Works quite well. Any type of investment, really. I mean, stuff like gold. You're not going to go far wrong with gold. I mean, I think gold prices are okay at the moment, aren't they? I think if you've got excess money, you need to invest into something. It's always good to have some cash, but if you leave it in the bank, my opinion is the banking industry is the biggest con known to man. They take your billions and billions, invest it. They buy nice cars, nice offices, massive payouts and lump sums. And what do you get for it interest-wise? Below inflation. The banks, I think the banking industry is going to change over the next 10 years. There's a lot of online banks now. We use one, Monzo and Revolut. You get a lot more value for your money. You get a bit more interest. You get loads of little quirks. You know, you get the ability to buy stocks and shares and crypto and stuff like that. I wouldn't necessarily suggest them before checking the prices, the fees, but we don't use the likes of Barclays anymore. You get nothing for your money. Collectibles, guns, crypto stocks. It's always good to put something in something, isn't it? Absolutely. I mean, it's funny, really. Most of us probably spend more money on the last thing we should be investing in, which is cars. You know, what's the average price of a standard car in the UK now? 18 grand. New car, average price. As soon as you drive it out the showroom, you've lost 3,000 on it. And then progressively over the next year, it loses a bunch more. Crazy, really, isn't it? I may invest something in whiskey in the next year or two. As you know, I'm a big whiskey fan. And you can invest in whiskey. I may divert a little bit of my pension just for the fact that I can say I own a barrel of whiskey. So at least if my life turns to shit over the next 5 years, I can get the barrel at home and just drink it from it. It's nice to have something invested that you can get hammered on in case you, just in case. You never know, if they happen to have a massive whiskey shortage, I could get the barrel and just drink it myself. If you buy a 2.5-ish sports car with miles, hardly use anything, Honda S2000. I used to like them. Little two-seater thing, aren't they? Yeah, it's a little soft top thing, aren't they? Two-seater. I used to do some work at a Honda garage years ago. Yeah, that's the only difference. But if you look, it gives you a slight different variation in bars. And sometimes if you get two nice legs down, how many times do we leave a setup because we don't get a good signal bar? I know a lot of traders that use this signal car. It was Taylor that got me into that on Thomas Wade's forum. Let me just double chart entry. Here we go. When was this? It was a couple of years ago now, I think. He mentioned it. October, yeah. Double chart settings. Credit goes to this other woman for sharing, but that's basically it. I'll leave that there for a second. Hey, Ben, how you doing? Did you do any back testing on range shot? No, I haven't, mate. I'm just generally looking at it for the most. But, I mean, it more or less does the same. It just clears a few cobwebs out, really. But that's basically what it is. Deselect end of day charts. And a lot of times it'll give you an extra chance at a setup. And sometimes I see trades and I'm thinking, I never saw that. And someone will go, yeah, I took it on my second chart. So they do help. The Canadian tax system favours investors over wage earners. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It's good to invest certain times of the year. Sometimes they want you to invest, other times they want you to spend. Now, is this more like that? Maybe. Maybe. I'll tell you what I've got my eye on. I absolutely love these. I'm a watch fan. I'm not a jewellery person, but I love the mechanics, the technology. I love the fact that you can get 150 tiny little micro pieces together to make something beautiful. And I think they're a pretty good investment. There's not many things you spend 10, 15,000 on that's not an investment. I love these, the GMT Master Pepsis. I think they're absolutely stunning. I do like the one on the Jubilee bracelet, but I mean, that's a bit scuffed up, but look at the prices. I like the Jubilee bracelet. Let's have a look. That's one there, I think. It's quite an old one, that is. That's, yeah, I mean, look at that, 2079. I mean, Christ almighty, that's 40 odd years old. Look at the price. There's one there. I absolutely love these. I think they're stunning. I watched I've always liked watches. I've had about 3 Omegas. I've got a Tudor at the moment, but I'm not really a jewellery person, but I do absolutely love watches. And I'd love a Rolex. I can't afford one at the moment. That's the fact. But I had my first Omega about 20 years ago. It was a Seamaster. I've had 2 Seamasters and the Moonwatch. I had a Moonwatch about 4 or 5 years ago, but I sold it to buy a van for a business. Is there an overshoot here? Richard Meal. Yeah, I mean, they're a lot of money. They're quite they're quite square, rectangular watches, aren't they? But yeah, I am a big watch fan. I just love the technology that goes into. I was watching a YouTube guy that took a fake Rolex, one of these super clones, to this watch expert, and when he was talking about the difference and how you tell and the technology that goes into it, that you just half of it you don't know about. It's incredible, really, the workmanship that goes into them. And we have a steel Rolex gold standard. Yeah, Tudor's close. Well, I got a Tudor, the Black Bay 58. Well, this is the Black Bay GMT. The dark side, yeah. I looked at the dark side. I think it was about 8,000 when I was looking at, because it's all black, isn't it? I think it's the ceramic bezel, isn't it? And it's got a black material. What's it? But I had the one that came in. I got it at a good price, actually. I bought it 5 years ago. It was 2,700, and it was in the black case that comes with the extra strap, the little eyepiece, and that little metal disc, and just a beautiful presentation box. The one with the Hesselite crystal, and I absolutely loved it, I got to say. But they're not a bad investment. Watches, if you get the right one, you keep that for 10 years, you're going to get a lot of enjoyment out of it, and you're going to get more money than you pay for it. And there's not many things you could say that you spend in life. But I never used to like Rolexes. I always thought they were quite old man watches, but they're much better now. I do like the GMT, the Hulk, or the Kermit, or whatever you want to call them. I like that with the green face and dial. Carbon fiber cases. Yeah, I'm a Panerai fan as well. I love the little pull out and the wine thing on the Panerais. Yeah, I do love Panerais as well. I like IWC as well. They make some really nice watches. And AP as well. Some of those are quite nice. But I mean, you can pay huge amounts of money for once you start getting into the Pateks and stuff like that, the price just dramatically shoots up, doesn't it? Too simple. The IWC, yeah, they are very, I think that's what about, quite big faces, very, very plain, aren't they? Yeah. I think, yeah, the GMT Pepsi, Master GMT Pepsi, I like. I think they're lovely. Nice money. Yeah. There is some beautiful watches out there, isn't there? As I say, I'm not really a jewellery person, but I do love just that. There's a guy I watch on YouTube who, that might look too bad, and what he does is people send in watches that they're kind of battered and bruised, and he takes them apart, recalibrates them, replaces, and I love watching him. There was a guy who recently lost his father, and his father bought this watch, this Rolex, 45 years ago, and he had it on his wrist every single day of his life, and it never stopped working. It was battered. It had a scum around it from dead skin from watch, and it was bruised and battered. But his dad absolutely loved it, and he treated it like you should treat a watch, wear it, not kind of wrap it up. And he took it apart and put it back together, and it was just stunning. I love watching stuff like that. What is my wife sending me? That actually doesn't look too bad. That looks like a 2-tier channel to me. It kind of does. So, are we getting like 2 legs back here? It's a tough one, isn't it? Have we got anything else up here? We're not quite close to this measured move. Let's just see if see what Dan's looking at the moment. Oh, he's not got an up-to-date chart. it does look like a two-tiered channel. That's why I kind of don't mind it. In fact, if I bring that more like that, that would make that fit even better. Oh, he's not trading today. Okay, fair enough. Okay. No trades yet. Me, no. I've moved back onto 2 contracts just with some of my accounts, the others at 1. I've just found out I'm taking way more trades and I'm winning less. So I've gone back to the way I kind of used to trade, where I seem to have more success, but it means I take less trades. But less trades for me usually equal more money. Let's put that back there for the minute. Yeah, I think I prefer that actually. That fits better. Absolutely less is more, yeah. What I found is when I went down to 1 contract, I took more riskier trades. So sometimes having that little bit of pressure to keep taking quality trades, you know, if I go for 3 points and I'll make $300 on a trade, if I take 2 high quality trades a week, there's plenty of money to be earned there. So I just think this is probably a better option. Having said that, my 3 Apex accounts, I'm trading 2 contracts, but my 4 Traderify accounts, I'm still sticking to 1 at the moment. You're playing the spike and channel. Yeah, I think that seems to be probably about the best, actually. It's fitting nice on the top, and we've hit a few places, really. So, see if we get 2 legs down here. So we've got a little micro running there with a break. So a second leg down to about here. See, that's sometimes where this range chart can come into fact. If we don't get a fantastic signal bar down here, but the range chart's looking nice, it may give us a better entry or a better looking entry. So a little micro with a break. Let's get another leg down here, a leg and a leg. Oh, incidentally, if anybody doesn't know, I meant to put that on my chart earlier. The 71% off at the moment, the PA fees for it are $100. Every account are $100 at the moment, including the 300,000. I meant to mention that. I did mention it yesterday, I think, which makes them actually better deal than 90% off and $40 and 140. Push up the channel we just had was one Mac loves to talk about. So what I'm going to do is just open an order down here.
Order submitted.
Just in case we get something, because we're so far, this is looking like a channel. If we can get a drop down here, we may get an entry if we're lucky. Yeah, Taylor's just said we'll consider a second entry long. Absolutely. We've got to come down below here, though. This is a channel. Any entries here usually get triggered and stopped out with this second leg down. And if you look on this chart, there's a bullish bar there, so I'd like it to break below there. Now, there's the leg down. This second leg, it's lower than there. Hopefully, if it can get down and touch here, it'll take out any liquidity there, and then we may get an entry. See, there is a bit of a channel there, so 2 legs with a push up. Doesn't really change a massive amount. We still got the same. We get 2 legs down here and take it off the bigger channel, or we got a break in the way of 2 legs, we still take it off this channel. So I think it doesn't really matter too much. So we got a leg down, 2 legs up, followed by a leg down. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, it is moving slow, mate. How you doing, Sean? So I'm looking for something like this. Somewhere along those lines. Boom, boom. Something like that. You can't move that, can you? Something like that. A leg and a leg. So there's a little bull bar there. She's doing nothing really, which is triggered, so I expect that to come down. I need it to break below there, though, for me to get an entry, because there will be liquidity there. Bullish bar there off the EMA, so I want it to break below there, really. So if we do get 2 legs down, I don't think it's a bad option to go long there. Leg down, sideways, leg down. So a little drop below there, maybe a fell break out of a little range here. Leg and a leg. We've got a drop below here for me. I think we will. a turn from there would be even better. We wouldn't need to get behind here so much. So, leg down and leg down. That would kind of get us right to the nice area. Take out there and then look what it's here. Drop below there and push up and sit there. Whether it will or not, I don't know, but that's what I'm kind of looking for. Well, I'm only leaving it here, waiting for a trade to come back to here. Otherwise, I've got to reopen it. So I'm only leaving it temporarily while I'm waiting for this pullback here. That's all. I'm not just leaving it at random. I just opened it. I was chatting with Dan the other day and he said, best advice I could give you is wait to expect a trade. See, what I do sometimes is I go, oh, I like that, and jump straight in, as opposed to predicting where a trade's likely to happen. So we've got to pull down with sideways. So I'm expecting a leg down. So I open up that ready. And if we get here, I'm ready to just grab it and drop it in place. I mean, it's out here. What are we? 48, 58. I'm 20 points out the way. So I'm yet to see price to drop into something that much without kind of a news event. So I've just got it. As soon as it starts to push up, like it's done now, it's useless now, so I'll just get rid of it. So I just get it ready, so it's ready to drop into place. That saves me using this, the buy bar to get in quickly if I, you know. So yeah, there's no setup there really. It's just a first entry really. And we got a little channel with a break. In my opinion on this, can you abandon the range chart? That's... Oh, did you? No, it's up here, bud. I've just got it set. I've just been slightly changing it. I've set it to 12 at the moment. And I think what it does, sometimes we'll get a second entry long that won't work, but when you switch it to the 12 or 15, it looks better. So, for instance, we had this beautiful triple test there, which worked a treat. And you may even talk about that one as well. That worked as well, and maybe a triple test there. So, but yeah, I've just got that above my head, mate. That's all. I've just given up doing the penguin for now because it's a different strategy, although it's kind of similar. I think I'm just not paying attention to one. So these are just the two 2000 tick charts. This is the end, the break at end of day deselected, and I'm just looking at that. I think sometimes the range bar clears up the setup a little bit. So now it's on my other chart, bud. Well, not really, because all I do is look at this one chart and occasionally glance at that one. When we're coming for a setup, if we've got a crap signal bar here, I'll have a glance left. If it's a better signal bar, I'll take the trade. But these are basically exactly the same chart with slight different variation in the bar. And just now and again, I'll glance up when we're coming back to an area at that quickly, and then I'll get back. But when I add the 2000 tick, the range bar, and the other 2000 tick up top, which I was looking for penguin, that was a bit confusing. So I'm okay with this because I basically just look at this one channel. All I do is glance at this second one on the left here for is when we're coming close to a setter of the signal bars nav. It's just no setup here, unfortunately. Nothing really back here. It's a bit too early. That triple test, just wasn't sure about that triple test. But just not a lot of setups really at the moment. That's why sometimes it's just useful. But what I will say is on that range chart, setup wise, this is the kind of triple test I like. We get a move up and then come back 3 times and fail and push up. As we've come down into that, that's what makes me concerned. Often we'll go down, across and down, and we are kind of looking a bit rangy. That was why that one. But if we push up and make 3 attempts, that's usually a good indication we're going up. But when we come down and bounce 3 times, I'm just not so sure about that. But that, I think, was a nice setup. Same again, another nice triple test. But then you got that. And that one as well, that was a beauty. But look how well they work. Same again, that one clearly pushed up nice. So it's definitely worth looking at this. It's not the be all and end all, but you know, there are times it's much better than others. I like paper trading on there. What's that? TOS. But Phil's ways and the real thing. Yeah. Got to say, now I've moved up to 2 contracts again. Now only on some of my accounts, not all of them. Just the 3 Apex, but the 4 Tradeify, I've left it like there for now. But straight away I feel a bit more relaxed because I know now I haven't got to find as many setups to make money. I'm going to say, when I was trading 2 contracts, a lot of times, a lot of days I didn't take a trade, but when I did take trades, I had a much better win rate. I had one run where I think I had about 12 winning trades in a row and they were all trading 12 contracts. If I can get 2 quality setups in a week, that's $600. That's $2,500 a month. Even if you take a couple of losses, you can still earn a stack of money. So I feel better already. I only originally went down to the 1 contract when the tariffs information came out and the ATR was just double figures some days. I mean, you can't there really. Thinkorswim, you can't get Thinkorswim in the UK for some reason. I looked into Thinkorswim when I first started trading and I was looking for a platform. I used MT4 or 5, I can't remember what it was. I think 4. I think I still got it somewhere. Maybe not. The trouble is, I don't know what it is with currency. Currency traders tend to use B Sniper Land. Absolutely. Mate, Sam, if I can get 2 or 3 a week, going for more money, a little bit more risk, but more profit, you wait and take better trades. You don't need any more than 2 or 3 in a week to make a stack of money. So, yeah, I don't know what they are, but yeah, I think a lot of traders, well, certainly traders, currency traders that I know, use 2 bits of software. They use MT4 to sort of open up their trades, and they use what's it to do all their sort of plotting, which I think is a bit odd having 2 lots of software to do it. What's it called? Oh, you know the one I mean, what they use. It's the most popular one everybody uses for charts and stuff, but you're plotting on one and taking trades on another. Now that might work if you're trading a 15-minute or an hourly or something, but you couldn't do that on this. It just wouldn't work. But I don't know why they haven't updated MT4, MT5 trading view. Yeah, I don't know why they haven't up to MT4, MT5 to have a better chart plotting. So you don't need to, have two different bits of software to sort of plot your trades. Mind you, if you trade in the hourly or something, you've got plenty of time, really, haven't you? You're not kind of in a rush. Okay, so I like this channel. We've off the bottom, we've touched there, we haven't quite got to the bottom there, but that's okay. We're at the top, now. We seem to be maybe losing a bit of momentum here. Now, I wouldn't be surprised, and I'm going to predict that we may get a break here. So I'm going to draw that there like that. And so I think we're going to get a break here. Now, I could be wrong, but the fact we've pushed up again, and we seem to be flattening out here. We can't get up here. So this is losing a bit of momentum. And when you're losing momentum, if you're in a trade, probably a reasonable time to think about taking profits and then maybe getting back in down here. So there's bound to be some support there, which is why I've put the box in line with there. But I have a feeling we're going to get a break here. Now, whether the break comes just to here and pushes up, my guess is the bigger these channels, the bigger or the more of a scenic route it takes. So whether it'll do something like that and then go a bit sideways and then eventually work up, who knows? You use MT5. Yeah, they tend to use TradingView alongside it to plot do their chart, to plot their charts. I think it's much better for, doing more chart analysis, because there's a lot more, gizmos and gadgets on TradingView than there is on on MT4 or 5, whichever one you use. But it does come over, doesn't it, as a very basic piece of platform, MetaTrader. But it does seem to be probably the most popular one I know for trading, certainly for retail traders, for trading currency. Now, we've had a push up, we're going sideways, so we may continue sideways and then push up. So it's hard to know. We'll either do that or we'll get a break. It's hard to know, but there is a little bit of sideways action going on there. So whether this is loss of momentum or whether we're just ranging a little bit till we get close to this end, often we'll come from the top to the bottom and then go up again. Same again, top, we push up, top, bottom, up, top, close to the bottom and up again. But we are losing that little bit of momentum, I think. We're sort of coming away, wrong one, coming away a little bit. Now, it might not be enough, but we're coming away from the top a bit, and often, sometimes it'll still go, but often if we can't get up, this thing has a tend to drop, and obviously depending on where it drops to, it'll often have a break. But if we got this as a measured move, I wouldn't be surprised if we have a break here and then eventually up to this measured move. So my guess is this, if it does get a break, this is kind of where I expect it. Unless we do this, we just get a quick drop and then off it goes. But sometimes it'll drop out as long as it's below this and then shoot up bullish and then work up. Says bullish in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, you got to think bullish at least at the moment, haven't you? We're clearly going up, so I'm only looking for long trades at the moment. But I'm guessing because we're not, we're slowly struggling to get up a bit. People are, I suppose, going to take profits. If it's going sideways and you're in profits, sometimes depending on how you trade, it might be a good idea to take some off the table. And that may mean this loses a bit of momentum and has a quick drop out of this channel. God, I've got a headache. Yeah, we're clearly finding it difficult to push up at the moment. We had a little push out, but then it just went nowhere, and all of a sudden now it's starting to go. Don't mute the chewing. I just had a few peanuts, that's all. And then I took a couple of paracetamol. Now, my wife had just come into the room and she passed me some paracetamol. Perfect ASMR, I agree, mate. What's an ASMR? Okay, we're up. So, as I mentioned, sometimes we go up, across, and up. So, once we go sideways, it may go up. So, let's get rid of that. Once we start to go sideways, sometimes now, I wonder. I'm going to say, is there a separate channel there? But pick top's getting burnt, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're always taught with Max, never counter trend trade. It just doesn't work. I mean, you can clearly see at the moment, obviously we had that drop initially overnight, but then it just took off, couldn't get lower. We had a couple of clear attempts and then off it went. It's just slowly but surely and nicely grinded up. It does seem to be losing a bit of momentum, which is okay. And I would guess we are getting close up to this measured move. I still think there's a good chance we get a break now. Don't touch that. No, absolutely. No. The good thing about trading in direction is if you screw up, you've still got a chance of getting, you know, not losing, haven't you? It does seem to be. Now, whether we've got a spike in a channel here, that's always a possibility. So if I get rid of that, obviously we know things are always changing. So if I put that there like that, there is a possibility that, you know, we may end up getting a channel or a spike in a channel. It's hard to say, but at the moment it's been fitting nice in there, so I'm not going to change anything at the moment. No point in changing what isn't broken. But, you know, we're coming to the top nice and we're struggling a bit here, so my guess is we get a break. You know, we struggle a bit there. Now, although we had a strong push, it didn't really go anywhere. But we're still not getting up to this top, which is telling me it's losing upwards momentum at the moment. So I would envisage a break. And I'm going to go as far as to put my little box back. See if it does get into it or close to it. It's a huge category. It's soft sounding normal things like whispering or rubbing. Okay, a little bullish bar there. I wouldn't want to go long there. It may work. We may have a push-up, so I was in push-up. My guess is with losing momentum, I wouldn't want to be going along there. It is a higher low, so my guess is that's going to come down and stop that out. And if it does come down, we may get this little drop now and possibly a break. It may hold, it depends. Sometimes it'll continue to grind, but to me, this little bit here is getting further and further away from the top of this channel, which is telling me it's losing momentum. And a trade like that, I think, is risky as hell. Sometimes the market will just surprise you and continue on, but if you took that trade there, you're triggered into it now. You've got to be thinking, I'm in trouble now. Now, it may come down and bounce off the top of here, or it may, once it gets below there, have that little drop. See, on this range chart, we've got a really nice fitting little channel here. It depends. We may be developing into a different angle of a chart, so this may be a different channel developing, but I'm just not super convinced. I can't find nothing that fits nice on the bottom for now, and if it does come from here to here, this then is likely to continue down. This is congested. That is not a good signal bar. But it may have bounced off here, but it's clearly sideways, so my guess is there's going to be liquidity here and here, and if this thing is going to go up, you think if you want to buy here, if you want to buy this channel here, where's the best place to buy? Probably below there, isn't it? Somewhere down here. But sometimes it's strong enough and it will just continue up. You've seen it we go up. Do you prefer Traderfire or Apex for now? It's tough on that, mate. I've been with Apex now for 2.5 years. But I'm starting to branch out. There's a lot of good things I like about Traderfire. One of them, you don't have to piss around with evaluation after evaluation. Sometimes doing loads of valuations get you into bad habits. And it's certainly got me into bad habits. When you're 90% off and you're paying $16, which is 12 British pounds, can't buy 2 pints of beer for that. And the trouble is, when you trade them aggressively, with all intents and purposes, I think I'm going to trade 3 or 5 contracts, and I ended up doubling up and ended up blowing accounts. So I like Apex. I'll continue to have accounts with Apex, but Traderfire I'm starting to like. I like the fact that you can get straight in there. I like the fact that it's got end of day drawdown. I think that's useful. And I like the fact that when you get to $3,000, you can withdraw $2,000. So it's a good payout system. So far I like it. But I think it's important to diversify a little bit and not have all your eggs in one basket, because, you know, as we were talking about investing earlier, if you buy one stock and stick your whole life savings into it and something goes wrong, you're screwed. Whereas if you spread it around a bit, the damage is minimal. So, I mean, my plan really at the moment is to have 5 Apex, 5 Traderfire, 5 take profit, and then maybe 5 funded futures. I don't know, but I think it's a good idea to spread it around a bit. But for people who are learning, Apex is perfect because it's cheap. Bullanox apparently as well. I've not really dealt with Bullanox. The only thing that puts me off Bullanox is you can't trade them with other prop firms. You can't copy trade them. Why? I've got no idea. That's the only thing that puts me off. But if you're learning and you're new, I'd stick to as cheap as possible and only ever get one evaluation at a time. Just get the experience of what it feels like to have a little bit of skin in the game. Yeah, see, I'm quite good at keeping open-minded. Now, I know how I've traded in the past, aggressively, gamble-like, and taking big risks. Now, do you need KYC? I do need to KYC to be insured like I'm not sure, but I don't know if that was directed to me, but I'm not sure. Can you use Ninja with Traderify? Absolutely, mate. If you look here, there's my Traderify accounts, and there's my... So if you have Traderify on Ninja Trader, you want to be trading them on Tradeovate. For learning, don't think about payouts. Absolutely. Worst thing you can do when you're learning is to think about payouts, because what you'll do, you'll gamble your evaluations, you'll get lucky, you'll pay $140, whatever it is, and then you'll blow it and you'll just throw more money away. The best way to get to a PA account from an evaluation is to do it organically. Let it happen naturally as you get better. Because I guarantee you, and I know this from experience, the one thing you learn a lot about is how not to do things when you're learning to trade. You learn how you would do things different. Now, unfortunately, trading, it's not easy and you're going to spend money. That's the difficult thing about trading. Learning to trade is expensive. It costs money. Now, you can mitigate those expenses by being sensible and being tight on your purse strings. Now, if you're generally a tight person with your money, you're going to spend a lot less than someone who's quite frugal with the money. It's very easy to get through a lot of money, so you've got to be very careful. See, I'm not a gambler. It's never interested me, but a lot of the way I've traded in the past is gamble-like. It is. I've just taken risks. And I'm not a gambler. It doesn't interest me. Thank you. Just pop it here, can you? Thank you. So, but, you know, emotions do strange things to you. You know, but what I will say, I had a debate with someone the other night that when emotional people are weak and they'll never survive, which is a bunch of bullshit. Every trader suffers with emotions. Now, I chatted with a trader who's been trading 25 years, and he still says to this day, you show me a trader that trades without emotions. The difference is you get good at controlling them, but you'll never remove emotions totally. Every single trader will have a certain amount of emotion. Yeah, they'll manage it well and they'll be able to control it. But we're not robots. We're human beings. You know, it's part of our DNA that we work on emotions, and you'll never eliminate it. You'll get very good at managing it, and you'll get the belief in your skill and your ability that it won't make you do stupid things, but you'll never completely eliminate it. To identify yourself as key. I'm not sure, bud. I know for crypto, if I've got crypto accounts, I've had to do KYC. I mean, I only trade with prop firms. I don't trade my own money, so I think I don't know if it really matters. I mean, as a prop trader, mostly you're trading on a sim anyway. This is just a sim. But obviously it's a funded sim. It's a sim I get paid from. So I don't know how it works when you get onto live money. It's something I never... Well, I did it initially. Which, if you're a new trader, I would never, ever, ever put your own money into it until you've proven yourself and you can make consistent gains on a prop firm, because all you're going to do is throw away good hard-earned money. These prop firms are a gold mine to people who know how to play the markets, and they're a fantastic learning tool for newer traders. It's a way of getting access to some funds and to possibly make a bit of money and learn your craft with a little bit of pressure without costing you the earth. So as a newer trader, find the cheapest prop firm out there and only buy evaluations when they got discounts of 80-90%, and only ever get one at a time. No point in getting more until you can make money, because all you're going to do is copy trade 5 of them, make one bad decision and blow 5 accounts. You can have an account with 10 running Ninja Trader. Yeah, I've never put any money really into bar more than a few $1,000s or pounds, so I'm not sure how that works, to be honest with you. You know, you've got to be very, very, you've got to be very careful with trading money when you're new to trading, because it can cripple you. So, me saying this is losing momentum, it looks like it, but it also looks like it may be in a slightly different trend. But I want to see what happens here. If we get a strong drop out of here, then this to me is a break, which I was expecting. But if I bring in let me just check there's no sort of different channel here. There may be. I would want it to drop down here first, really. There may be a slightly different angle of a channel running there. I'm not super convinced as of yet. So at the moment, I can give that a little bit of a benefit of the doubt. Still fit it. But I'd like to see something like this. Somewhere along those lines. To give us a way up. We're getting close to this measured move now. Al Brooks' main motto, I don't care. It's not a bad way to look at things. I don't care. I think Al Brooks, from what little I know about him, is a very gifted trader, isn't he? I think he's about as robotic as you can get, I think. He's like a walking trading encyclopedia, isn't he? I do feel better straight away changing this way I trade at the moment. So, unfortunately, there's only a first entry there. Can't really do anything because we are potentially losing momentum. So my gut feeling is probably going to come down. But that is a bullish bar off the key entry point. But the fact is we're coming away from the top is telling me there's a little bit of loss of momentum just temporarily. Now, I could be wrong, but it would keep me out of a trade here just at the moment. There isn't a trade anyway, really. It's only a first entry. All of it. Well, most of it. Put it this way, per account, well, with Apex, that is, per account, you can earn $25,000 out of each account before you pay any, before you do the 10-90-10 split. To be honest with you, 99% of people probably blow an account before they get that much in payouts. I've had, I think, 5, possibly 6 payouts in my biggest accounts. I think 5 payouts in my longest standing accounts. Tradeify, everything you earn is a 90-10 split. Which is not too bad, I don't think. You earn $2,000, you pay $200, you lose $200. But it's still double what you can earn if you've got $3,000 in your Apex account. So there's pros and cons with all these, but I do like the fact that you can just cough up £250, $320, and you're straight into a live account with Tradeify. Now, I wouldn't suggest that to people who've never made any money, thinking, oh, if I get that, I'm straight into a live account. Absolutely worst thing you can do. You've got to kind of build your way up there. You can't go from earning nothing to earning a lot of money overnight. Your brain just won't allow it. You got to build up slow. So my guess is we're going to have a drop below here. Could be completely wrong, but now there's going to be liquidity along there. So I'd like to see it drop below liquidity, possibly there. So I would say if I put that there, let's see if this goes much further. A leg and a leg. I'd like to see it clear out liquidity if it is going to push up. So that would be kind of where I'd expect it to start to move down if it does. Now, I could be completely wrong depending on how strong it is. If there's buyers thinks this is strong, they may jump in here, but it's only a first entry, that, and they're less reliable. The only thing going for that is it is off the key entry point, but sometimes it's just not enough. Luck don't last. Absolutely. I'll tell you something. These markets, you would have more success tossing a coin 50 times than you would taking 50 random trades. Market's very good at taking money. Very good at taking money. Specifically, it's very good at knowing where really weak entry points are and clearing out them as liquidity. So we got a strong market. Look at these here. Look at this. Would you take that one? It's congested. It's not great. That one, it's just it's at the highs. Look what happens. We get a quick flush down, clears that one out and that one out, and possibly anything there. Yeah. So far, so good. There's more liquidity down here. So if you get into weak positions and you think, oh, market's going up, let's buy. Often it'll just come down. And, you know, it's very good, certainly on this time frame, of overlapping itself and clearing out positions. If you get a good, strong position, and I think that was a good, strong position. We had that good move up, big move up, and we strong push down, messed around. We went up here a few times and another strong push down. We had cleared out this liquidity. Big strong bar, 2 legs down after a move up. Good strong position to go long. Now at the time I left that because of the support here, but look how well it worked. Big strong move up and then it grinded nice up. They're the ones you can hold on. Trades like this, you can't hold on them because the market will just overlap and clear itself. So the one good thing going for that, for pullback traders, it's off the key entry point. Unfortunately, my setup, there's no setup for my way of trading there, which is just a shame. So the only thing I can do there is wait for a possible couple of moves down and then maybe get in. But there's no trade there for a Pats trader. You know, you may argue, well, we're kind of bouncing off support. Well, yeah, that may be the case. But, you know, so many times, especially as we're coming away from the top, there's too many signals here to say to me, you need to be a bit careful here and you need to wait for a setup. But sometimes, you know, the worst setups in the world will just continue on and make you money. Oh, someone's cooking a pizza in this house. I can smell it. Oh, someone's cooking a pizza. Yeah, I feel so much better trading 2 contracts. I know I'm not under pressure now to find trades. I'll wait for them to come to me. So down to the key entry point, there's a higher low there. Problem is we're right at the highs. Is it going to work? Might do. Trouble is, you know, with under Pat's rules, you need to have enough room to the highs to get profit. And there's just nothing there at the moment. Doesn't mean it won't go up. So to get profit there wouldn't be even a point there. You'd have to push through a point. So you'd have to hit 125 9 times out of 10. So, you know, if we take a trade there, we've got to be out before the highs. Doesn't mean it won't go on. But to me at the moment, I'm a bit unsure about what I'm seeing here. My initial thoughts were when we start to pull away from that top, often it'll lead with a break, but not always. Just let it come. Yeah, well, I mean, rather than chase the market, I was expecting a second leg down there. So I had an order down here, or was here or something. I had an order ready, waiting for it to come to me. Because there's no setup there for a Pats trader. I was hoping we get a little pull and then a drop out, which I thought there was a good chance because we are coming away from the top of that channel. But, you know, sometimes if it's a strong market, as soon as it comes back to that key entry point, traders jump in. Unfortunately, it's not a setup I can kind of take. So I just have to say, okay, we get 2 legs down. This is where I'd make my entry. And then just sort of prepare for the move. And then, because I had a bit of a history lately of thinking, oh, there's a setup there and randomly jumping in. And I had a chat with Dan about it. And he said, the best thing I can tell you is predict where you think the setup's going to occur. In other words, off the key entry point, get your order ready and wait for it to come to you and then enter, and nothing less. So I'm trying to focus on just the good setups that appear rather than thinking this looks like it's going up, let's just jump in here, which is a lot less reliable. But the good thing about trading 2 contracts, I don't have to worry if I don't make a trade in a day. So we're either finding a different channel here. This to me is I'm starting to think perhaps this is a channel not necessarily losing momentum. Having said that, if this is a channel, then at some point it's going to break out of here. So if this is a channel, the bottom of the channel is here, which means at some point we're going to come out. So I'm starting to think that perhaps it's more of a spike in a channel. Let's see what anybody else has got. Let's just kill the colour of that a sec. Just take a screenshot of this. Does seem to be working there quite nice. In which case, the higher low might not be terrible. Having said that, there's no room to the highs anyway, so you can't take that from a Pat's point of view. Yeah, RJ as the green channel. So yeah, he's looking at it as well. So now when it starts to come away from the top, I'm thinking possible break. Now there's obviously another scenario as well. We may be moving into a different channel, and that looks like that's the case. Now it's hard to tell here, but when we've had that drop back here, now that kind of makes sense. And then if you think about our channel with the spike, so sometimes there may be 2 channels kind of working at the same time here. Yeah, Rob's looking at it as well. Yeah, I don't like him, to be fair. The one, what I will say is it is slow, but it's very strong. Sometimes when it goes up, but there's so much sideways, often it'll flush down, and that's what I hate. Sometimes the slower prices go up, the quicker they come down, and that just concerns me. But yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of different, what's the word Mac use ones, multiple personalities. You know, sometimes the markets are like you spend the evening out with a mate you've known for years and you know exactly how much, and everything's predictable. And other days, it's kind of like you're out with a complete stranger. You know, sometimes these charts, they're so easy to read. It's not bad today. You know, we've had a move up with a break at a new high. You can see that clear push down. We tried 3 times and we came up. I actually say that's one move. It's 3 little bounces in one move. But then we came back again, broke out the bottom, and then a big strong move. You can see buyers coming in there below all this liquidity, and then off it took nicely up. So it's not bad today. It's relatively predictable, but other times it's all over the place. It's bouncing off in different bloody angles, and you know, some days like this, it's hard to follow it. You know, this sort of stuff, it's up, it's down, it's you know what I mean? We've had a lot of that lately, and it can be hard to trade this. Half the battle of trading is getting the direction right. And when you get the direction right, then you can look for your levels to enter. But sometimes lately, and that's kind of it. That's the unpredictability of trading. And that's where the kind of long-served traders are better at it. They know when it's time to sit on your hands. I mean, I'll read so many times, do nothing until you find that high quality entry. But I know sometimes I've sat in the past and think I haven't taken a trade for a day and someone's gone, you haven't taken any trades today? Oh, I've taken 2. And sometimes it's easy to get in your head and think, oh, perhaps I should be taking more trades. When the best thing you can do is wait till you feel, because ultimately you're the one that's responsible for your trading, whether it's earning money or whether it's learning. So you have to sit there regardless of what anybody else says. You know, sometimes I'll sit here and, you know, you see it on Facebook groups. Someone will go, took that one, took that. And they'll do that every day for a month and you won't see a loss. So a lot of people will say, I took that long, and they may not have taken it. So you never really quite know what people are doing. And, you know, I used to sit back sometimes and look at some of the charts on the Facebook groups and think, why am I losing and other traders aren't? You know, you'll see Dan, you'll see Marco and others, they only ever put the trades on. They don't put anything that they may have lost or something that looked okay that might not have worked. And it's very easy to feel under pressure to take more trades and more winners. And ultimately, we all really need to sit there until you get a feeling like this. Oh, look at that. Now, at the time, I blame Jan for this. I was looking at something from Jan, but look how nice that is. We've got a clear channel going up there, but that is a good quality, high quality, super clear setup. Fits beautifully. You can clearly see channel with a break and a new low. We've clearly tested these areas now, and this thing is on its way up. But you kind of need to sit there until you see something like this. That is a classic, really high quality Pat's trade. 2 clear legs down and a big strong bullish move off there. And look what happened. It took a bit of time, but I mean, you got your points, your 2 or 3 points more or less straight away, but then it continued to grind and just look, it just went up and up and up and continued. You know, went sideways for a bit and still continued up. And it's waiting for those. And if you wait for setups like that, you'll get very few wrong. Very few wrong. I mean, if you wait for a setup like that, you won't take much, but they're absolutely perfect. And the trouble is, you can usually tell when they're good setups because they don't piss around, they just take off. But that is about as stereotypical second entry Pat's trade as you'll find. There was another one a few traders took. I didn't like the signal bar, but as for the setup, great. That's where a second chart comes into play. So let me have a look on this second chart. Was that it there? Was it or not? Where was this? So that was 259. Yeah. So basically the same chart. Look at the difference between that. That was an absolute stonker of a trade. 2 clear legs. Now, it was the second entry by the count, but 2, it is the right time, isn't it? 59 and 50, yeah. But look at that bearish bar. You've got a higher low there, trapped there. Look how well that dropped, and look how well it reacted. I mean, that thing just took off. And it went down by best part of 20 points, more or less straight down. But on this bar, I left it. Although the setup was there, 2 nice legs, I left it because the signal bar, but that's the beauty of having this second chart. I'd have taken that. So, you know, the more experience you get at looking at these, you know the setups, you know the areas. That's easy and simple. But following the rules and keeping your patience until you see it is the tricky bit. And that's where it's easy to get into a lame trade and your patience go, and you jump in and you get stung. Now, this might be a possible entry here.
Order submitted.
Second entry short off the key entry point. Let's have a look at this. If this finishes nice, I'll take this. Oh, shit. What did I do there? Don't know what happened there. Trouble is, how far is it going to push up before it gives us something? That's the trouble. Yeah, that is not a fantastic signal bar there. It might not be terrible. What's happened? Is something froze now? Okay. Yeah, it's a shame there. I mean, it hasn't finished yet, but how much space is up there to the highs? So you could maybe just take 2 points. I mean, it's off the right area. Trouble is, the signal bar's naff, so I'm going to kill that
Order
trade.
cancelled.
It's no good here anyway, which is a shame. I mean, it may not finish that bad here, but it's close to those triggers. Let's have a look. Someone said they got an inside bar. It's not an inside bar there. I just don't think it's going to finish bullish enough, I don't think. Let's get an order open anyway.
Order submitted.
You know, I don't mind going for 2 points. I don't want to be snobbish and say, no, I want 3. If it's a solid trade, but there's only 2 points, no, that's no good.
Order cancelled.
It's a shame. Setup's naff, but that's the kind of area for a nice setup. Clearly see it's working there. Nice, 2 nice legs back. I mean, it may work, but unfortunately, there's no setup. I've got nothing on the range bar either. It's not good enough here. It may work. You could argue it's still, you know, within this, so it may work, but unfortunately, I'm going to get rid of this chart because that's just confusing the matter. That's much better. It may work, and often it does, but if the signal bar is no good, and it's not good enough, unfortunately. But that's the key with trading, really, isn't it? Now, the principle is simple. Putting it into practice when you've got things like emotions and patience, that's what makes it, why we make it more difficult for ourselves instead of just, you know, taking it like a robot. Unfortunately, we're not robots, but can get better at it with time. It's probably still going to push up. I mean, it is off the key entry point, but the signal bars and they're good, unfortunately. So let's get rid of this. Adjust this now because this to me now looks much better. It's a shame, really. We look for a signal bar for a reason, really. Now, yeah, it's nothing you can do, really. Have a plan for all outcomes helps. Yeah, it does. I mean, I feel better trading 2 contracts now because I know I'm not in a rush to take a trade. If you trade for 2 micros and you make $20, $30 on a trade, it might be great for building accounts and that, but you're going to struggle to make any money out of it. And I want to make money. And I've been trading long enough to make money. I've made money every month for the last 6 months. So I know I'm capable of doing it. I still have the human factor, which lends me to making mistakes from time to time, and emotions. Now, I blew 5 accounts last month or a few weeks ago. I haven't done that for 5 months. I've had a really good run. I kind of knew it was on the cards because I've been a bit frustrated, and it felt like it was long overdue. And you know, I used to have blowouts like that at least once a month and blow accounts. I just did it for about 1.5 years, 2 years. And then something changed, my patience improved, and I started to make money. But, you know, you don't improve and turn into a fantastic trader overnight. You're constantly slowly improving, but sometimes we're still going to get, you know, a little hurdle where we're going to stumble, and then we're going to trip, and you're going to get up, and you learn from it, and you move on. But every year I've been trading, since the first payment I took, I've at least doubled what I've earned on the previous year. So, you know, we're not even 6 months into the year, and I'm I'm $11,000 up on last year, and we're only 6 months in, not even 6 months into the year. So as long as I'm improving, I'm enjoying my trade and I'm not hating it. And not only that, I average 3 hours a day, and I'm still earning more money than I've ever earned working full time for someone else. And I get to spend my days with you fine people. So, and how many jobs can you drink single malt and sit in shorts and flip flops while you're working? Not many. It does take time to trade. I've been trading 4.5 years. They say 4 to 6 years, so I'm right on target, and I'm happy with my progress. We all want to earn more money. Sometimes we're all guilty of being greedy and trying to rush. I'm certainly one of them. But just keep it in mind, when things go wrong, we tend to focus on the negative stuff and we forget that we're learning skills. Our skills are constantly growing. So we focus on the negative and we forget about that skill progress that we're getting. And everything is pointing towards that final door we're all aiming through, where, you know, we're not nervous anymore. We've made enough money to know we're capable of doing it. And then it turns into a kind of a job, really. Long signal bar, did us dirty. Yeah, it did. That's the beauty of having this one as well. It looked a bit better on this, but not quite good enough. Now, Mac, I've seen Mac take trades like that. He said it's got to close in the top third, and it kind of did. Now, if I'd have been taking one contract, I may have taken that. But I'm happy with the way things are at the moment. It's clearly 2 legs down. But I don't think it's a bad idea to keep high standards when you're trading. Yes, you may take less trades, but you will lose less. And all a loss does is knocks you back a little bit. But thanks, Bob. I appreciate that, mate. I'm pleased that every year I'm getting better, because it is a very slow process. But if you think about, if you take a doctor, for instance, I think doctors go to medical school for about 5 years, really, or 4 or 5 years before they even touch a patient. And then when they eventually get onto the wards, and, you know, you're learning, aren't you? You don't learn things overnight. Things that are real skill, they take a long time to earn, and you can't jump into a job in a couple of years and earn the sorts of money traders. Otherwise, every man and his dog would be doing it. But I like the fact that, you know, a lot of people give up, and I feel good that I haven't. I like the fact that I'm determined and pig-headed and stubborn, that you know, my wife said, she said in the past, you're thinking about giving up? I said at the time, yeah, I've thought about it, but I'll continue or die trying. So I have certain qualities about me as a person, and I have things that frustrate the hell out of me as a person. You know, I could sit here and look at chart after chart and spend hours and hours and hours, but I can't get my lazy arse up and get down to the gym. So I have things that I like about myself and things that fry my brain about myself. Each present brings its own market cycle. Wish I could blow up 5 accounts. Can't really do that in the US-based brokers. Yeah, I mean proper counts. Proper counts are a different animal. You know, if I had 2,000 in a proper count, it's not necessarily money that I've put in myself. Well, it's not. You know, a proper count, it's cost me maybe £100 or $130 or whatever it is. So you kind of know that in your own mind, which is not an excuse for doing it. But I went 5 months without blowing accounts. Now, that's not to say I didn't get newer PAs and try to give them a boost and blow a bunch of them. That I did. But losing me shit, panicking till I lose all my accounts, or certainly 5 out of 6 of them I had, I've not done this year. That's the first time. But I have felt frustrated lately, and it did feel like I was kind of on borrowed time. But when it happened, now in the 4.5 years I've been trading, twice I've been in tears from blowing accounts, but I didn't. I processed it and got over it within an hour and felt really good and positive. I looked at what I've done for the year, and I took the positive out of it. So you do toughen up. It's like having a bunch of failed relationships. You toughen up. And I think sitting and feeling sorry for yourself after a while gets a bit boring, and I just think, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to punish myself. I know how this business works. I've just got to learn from it, process it, and move on and do it better. And I think every time that happens, you improve. it's a fact. But, they say, I was talking to this guy the other day and he went, most people fail. They just haven't got what it takes. It's not that they haven't got what it takes. They just give up because they think it's going to be quicker than it is. It's not that they're not capable. I mean, you can't do a job every single day of your life and not get better at it. It's an impossibility. You can't help but improve at any job you do. You might be a slower learner. It might take you a little bit longer than Joe Bloggs living next door, but you can't help but improve. If I get low, I just have to make it slow and easy. Yeah, everyone's different. I'm guilty of being impatient from time to time, and I try and rush things. And, we've all read the comments. It isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. But when you're seeing about and you're hearing about the stories of traders getting $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a month, it's very easy not to let that get to you. But, I was gone from taking 5, 6 or 7 trades in a day to taking maybe 1 or less. And when I started doing that, I started to make money. I would say my puzzle is 3/4 completed. If you take a jigsaw puzzle, mine's 3/4 completed. So I've got the bulk of the things I need, but the human factor and still what I consider myself a relatively inexperienced trader, that still plays a role. But every month I do this, every year I do this, I improve and I get better. So as long as I'm seeing improvement, I'm pleased. Well, I mean, they say there's a 90% or a 95% failure rate. What I will say is I could tell you people I know whether they could do this or not. And they would give up shortly after they even started. And looking at a chart and seeing the market going up and down and thinking all I got to do is buy it or sell it in the right direction looks a lot easier than it is. But even if we're robots and we cut the emotions out of the game, you still got to learn the skill of reading the charts. So I think as long as you're determined and you're making progress, even if that's slow, I think you'll eventually get there. Now, I'm making money. I've made money for the last 6 months. I don't make as much money as a lot of other traders, but I know traders. So we all kind of do it at different levels. But as far as I'm concerned, if it's doable, I can do it. It may take me a little bit longer than the guy next door, but, I'm making progress. So my belief is if it's doable, I can do it. If anybody tells me you can't do something, I'll move hell and high water to do it. I don't like being beaten. I don't like knowing that I'm not smart enough to do something, or I 10% do it consistently. But I think when they say that, I think a lot of people think 90% aren't capable. My guess is most of them give up. They don't give it long enough. And I'm confident in saying that because I've been doing it for 4.5 years and I know how difficult it's been. And I know a lot of people will not put up with losing £30,000 and being in tears twice till it affects your mood and your personality. When things get like that, a lot of people will walk away from it. So I think that's why it's got a high failure rate, not necessarily because people aren't capable. You know what I mean? I think most people are capable of being a great runner, but some people will put the years and years of work in to be better at it, and I know I'm a bit of a snooker fan, and I know there are snooker players who love the game who have to work their ass off to get where they are, and there are other people who do half the work but are naturally gifted. So I think everybody's more or less capable of making money from the markets, but people underestimate how long it takes to learn, and not everyone can put up with the financial strain and that just feeling like crap. Absolutely, yeah. Trading in itself, the practice of it when you learn the skills are simple. You sit here, you wait for a setup, you take it. Unfortunately, you've got to learn the skill of it, and you've got the emotional factor, which changes how we make decisions. But the practice in itself, we know what we have to do. I have to sit here until I take a great setup and take it. But if emotions get the better of you and the patience get the better of you, you'll take what you consider a poor, risky trade. And in most cases, we know the market's very adept at taking out very weak positions and clearing up them as cheap liquidity. But every day you sit here, every month you sit here, as long as you're improving. You know, I made way more money this year than I made last year. I made way more money last year than I did the year before. You know, I was taking way more trades last year than this year, the year before, more trades. So all the little elements to trading, the patience, the emotions, the skill, they're all improving. So I don't beat myself up when I do stupid things so much now, because I know I'm a human being and I'm going to make mistakes. But those mistakes do get less and less because you learn. You know, if you get wrapped on the knuckles enough time, sooner or later you're going to avoid that. So I don't know what's going on at the moment. We've hit this measured leg, so I don't know whether we get a correction now or what, really. See stop losses and go. I mean, yeah, I mean, if you get into a solid position, something that's tested an area and it's a nice strong position, you know, I've seen it many times where you get a second entry and price clears everything up before it but never gets back to it. So let's have a look at that second entry yesterday. As we know, market is constantly overlapping itself. Where was that second entry? That really good second entry. It's probably on here, wasn't it? That was it there, yeah. Strong position. What I find, the more below the EMA, the closer the bottom of that bar, the more chance that position is going to hold. A lot of times when you take these weak positions in, price will come down and clean them out, but often it didn't there. That bar there it triggered came down, but often the good solid bars at the real strong positions hold and price will come down, clear some and push up. Same with that one. I mean, that was a big strong move, I know, but if you can get into two clear attempts with a big bearish bar on a downtrend at the key entry point, they very rarely fail. Unfortunately, we haven't been getting a lot lately. And sometimes it's letting those patients just give in a little bit of frustration, and then you just jump in. But yeah, I mean, stop losses, you know, I tend to understand them now more about liquidity, which is basically a stop loss, isn't there? There's money to be taken off the table there. You know, if you're going to get into getting in here, I mean, it did hold as it happened, but trades in here often trigger and eventually get cleared out before they push up. Or run surely test trades, but yeah, it does, yeah. You know, I mean, when I first learned to trade, we were trend followers, trading currency. We'd look for trends. And what I find now is I tend to make less money when the market's trending. Usually when it's doing this from top to bottom, catching something off the top, going down, and vice versa. From time to time we see setups, but a lot of the time price will continue up. I'm just giving there's been nothing. Nothing along here. Two legs back, that may have been something there, but we're very close to high, so I left it. Nothing really here. There's no pat setups, nothing here, there's nothing. And unfortunately, that's sometimes the nature of the beast with trends. You know, sometimes, you know, like yesterday, we had that beautiful setup. In fact, I think we had a few of them. We had that absolute perfect setup. The higher lower left because it was a little bit rangy. You notice Mac didn't mark that one either. That one he did, but that one he left because it's a bit sideways there and that's in the middle of it. So I left it. But that one, I think, not a bad trade again. And it took off. 2 legs back there. That may not have been terrible, but at the time, you know, when you're looking at price, kind of relaying in real time, I'd be looking at that now thinking, do I take this? Well, it's kind of rangy and we're coming off the high, so is it going to trigger me and then move down? So I left it. But it continued up and tested this a bunch more times and then broke above it. But, you know, every day you sit in these markets and, you know, you make mistakes and you learn a few things, and it just, you know, as I said, it's kind of like learning to drive. You know, my right foot has been on that brake and manipulating that brake for 30 years. So if a car jumps out in front of me, I'd have to think, oh, I better brake here. Things happen automatically without even me thinking. Why? Years of practice. You know, that muscle memory and that way you react. The more you've done it, the more you just get better at it. Okay, so what time is it? So I've been going 3 hours. Day's gone quick today. But the thing about trading 2 contracts, I'm not bothered that I haven't made any money today, because another couple of trades over the next couple of days, and I've made everything I need to for the week. So I don't feel under pressure to make as much money when I'm trading 2 contracts. 1 contract I kind of do. So not a great day today. But that's kind of how it works sometimes. I may come back and have a look later. That may not be the worst one in the world. I'm going to kill the colour there, but just leave that as a possible area fact. Didn't I kind of have something like that earlier? I think I did, didn't I? So we come from a spike, touch here, eventually touch here. So there's kind of 2 channels in one there. So yeah, I mean, you know, mitigating, like you say, market makers see stop losses. That's kind of the benefit of having a larger stop loss away. The trouble is with Pats, if you get into a weak position, a lot of the time it will come back and clear them out. If it's a strong position like that second entry long yesterday, sometimes it'll come close to it, but it won't get in there because there's enough traders in there protecting it. And obviously the more buyers are in there, and the more, if market's coming back, people are adding to it, tends to be a little safer. But I don't feel under pressure to trade now. I've upped my contract side a bit. Now, obviously, ATR is important as well. If the ATR is around maybe 5, then I may have to come down to 1 contract. But at the moment, it's about as low as I've seen it for a fair while. It's just over 2 points at the moment. So I don't feel under pressure to trade all of a sudden now, which is kind of nice. It's actually working kind of well in there, so I'm going to get rid of that now. That's much better. It's fitting nice, that is. Really nice along the tops as well. And finally we had a touch there, so I'm all right with that. It's a big old channel, that, isn't it? It's gone up really nice and strong right since that drop out there. 46 points, not as much as it looks. That ATR is so low. If that ATR was like around about 4, that'd be a best part of 100 point move. So I might leave it there. Actually, been going for 3 hours. I may come back for an hour later. I think we've got a holiday coming up soon. Juneteenth, I think it's the 19th of June. It's actually my birthday, so that works out quite nice. So I'm trying to get some tickets for a cricket match somewhere in the UK for that day. I think there's one on the 20th, which is the day after. Yeah, where are we? 3rd today, so 16 days. Yeah, Tradeify is owned by Brett Simber. Sent me a friend request the other day. I didn't realise. I've heard of him. But I didn't realise it was him who was the CEO. That's better. Tight there, tight there, tight there. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So channel break, 2 pushes to a new high. My gut feeling it's probably going to come down this kind of area, test this area. So I'll see what happens. Let's see if this gives us a couple of legs down and a bit of an entry. Failing that, I'm going to knock it on the head. So. Also, my plan as well is to cut down the amount of money I'm on expenses. I think I did $2,000 last month, bearing in mind $1,200 were on the new Tradeify accounts, but I want to try and keep my expenses to no more than about $500 per month. So I'm on 200 this already. I picked up one new account, one new pay account. So I'm on $280 so far this month, so I want to try and keep it under 500. It's one of the nicest fitting trend channels I've seen for a long while. I mean, look at that, 2 legs back. If you'd have entered there, and you know what you're doing. Long paper. Let's give it another 10 minutes, I think. Just see if we get a couple of legs back to here. You're all in your stop again. You know, mate, that's too scary. So we've come off the top. I'm guessing we're coming back a little bit, but we need 2 legs. Let's see if we can get something here. So there's our short-term trend. So if we can get a break and then a drop back down and give us something here. Okay, so we've got a little leg here with a small break. Let's see what happens. I'm guessing it's a leg. There may... I don't want to fit that in one, so I would say a small break maybe. We'll see. So it looks like one little channel here. That doesn't look like a break to me, so I'm not going to treat it that way. Let's keep that tight like that. So that looks like one little channel. There could be a break, but I don't think there is. There is starting to look like one now, depending on what it does. I'm looking for 2 legs back. So I'm going to give this chance to come back to here and see if it gives us an entry. And after that, I think I'm going to knock it on the head. Go and have some dinner. It would be nice, wouldn't it? So I need a little break here. May consider that one. I don't mind bringing that tight now, because that looks like a break. It does on both charts. So excuse me 1 sec. I'm just going to take a quick bathroom break. Okay, so we need a second leg down now. Sold 85's only eval. Not sure what you mean there, Sam. You might have to reiterate there, mate. Oh. Oh, you sold 85. Oh, okay. Okay, leg, break. Come on. Give us something. It's a gamble. Yeah, you trade them about as sensibly as I do, mate. What I do like at the moment is their $100, the PA fees. That's pretty good, that is. Better than 140. They went through a phase of being $85. That was nice. $100 I'm all right with. Just don't like 140. So really, if you think we had 90% off and then $140 for the fee, now, what are they now? About $45 and 100 for the fee. So it works out the evals are about $5. So it's actually better as well. That's assuming you pass it. But it's not a bad deal, that. I like the $100. I'd much prefer to pay less of a... I don't mind paying $40, $50 or $35. It's the PA fees I hate paying. But $100, that's not too bad. Okay, channel with a break. Let's see if we get a second leg down. It is stacking up here, which is a good sign. So I'm hoping we get somewhere along those lines, which will get us right into that ballpark. Channel with break down here somewhere. is slow, isn't it? I'm hoping we get a quick drop here. There's a bullish bar. Well, there's a bullish bar that's triggered. I'm hoping we do have a little drop. Does look like a channel, a little micro with a break. Down here would be ideal, really, leg and a leg. If it finishes bearish, we may get a bit of luck there. Come on down.
Order submitted.
Okay, let's just get an order ready down here, just in case something comes up and quick. That would get us down to this area or close to it. It's not come as bearish as I was hoping. I can't see getting long in here is worthwhile. So for me, I think buyers are more interested down here, you'd think, wouldn't you? You never know, though. Sometimes it'll get so far down and just continue up. Looks like it may be the case.
Order cancelled.
Come on, have a drop. We may get one yet. Come on, leg and a leg. It's going to be a bit of liquidity there. It's quite a cheap, I'd say. So you just never know. Leg and leg. If we can get below there, we may get an option. Mind you, 1 minute it looks like it's going to drop bearish and then it changes. And same again, it looked bearish a minute ago, but it's still may hold. I'm going to give this move a chance to come down, and if it continues up, that's me done for the day. Okay, so we got a slightly bearish bar. Come on, have a drop. Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're not wrong, mate. It is a bit boring, isn't it? Like watching paint dry, but a lot more boring. I know. See, that's when patience can get the better. I feel all right today, actually. I got rid of my frustration in the markets yesterday, but I feel quite good today. But yeah, it is, isn't it? It is boring. Hopefully, if we get a second leg down here, we may get something. Doesn't want to give us anything, does it? Let's just... Okay, let's just get an order ready, just in case. I don't want to miss something. Watching another live. The cheating. For me, we've got to get below there. Now, that measured leg, if we can get below and sit on there, I wouldn't mind so much. If we push down, we'll clear out any liquidity. The next lot of liquidity is down here. But I don't think it'll get down there. Now, it may only go like that, but for me, to get interested, we've got to get down below there. So a measured leg would take us down just below there. And I think that's the only important part, really. Get a measured leg, it will take us down there. So we may get something, or it may just slowly grind. It depends. But we need to get below there for me and then give us a nice bullish bar. And then we may get something, but it went close and it just wouldn't go, would it? What I will say is there is some support along there. It may go. If we get below there, then I think we got half a chance at a setup then. And that would be two nice legs. Chances are setup be there, but there'll be no crappy signal bar. That's the benefit of having a second chart, just to give you a second crack of the whip. They're basically telling us the same thing. Okay, we're finally below there. So I'd like to drop just below a little bit more and then push back up for a bullish bar. I'm not bothered that it's not right on here. If we just have a little drop, it might not be that bad. It's an inside bar, can't take that. See, that's not terrible, but the trouble is by the time that's finished, we're at the highs again. Just can't take it. It did clear liquidity, but I'd have preferred this to drop just a little bit further and then at least trigger a bearish bar there. See, long there, I don't think it's the worst trade in the world if you were scalping a point, if it finishes right, but it's just not super interested, really. There's no room, to be honest with you. The ATR, bearing in mind the ATR is super low today, so to the highs there, well, there's more than I thought there. There's maybe a 1.5. It may go a bit higher, but it's also looking like it's going a little bit sideways, so I'll prefer a drop down just a little bit more and then get something on the bottom, giving us some space to the highs. See, it's an inside bar, unfortunately. I mean, it may work, but for me, it's a little bit rangy, and taking that in the middle of that range is a bit risky. Now, if you're scalping a point, may not be an issue. But I go for 3, and I don't really want to get involved in that, just in case it does drop down a bit lower. Not only that bigger measured move has been sorted. Unfortunately, I don't
Order
think we're gonna get
cancelled.
anything. We have had that measured move. Not that would put off it. You made a point, did you? Yeah, it didn't look terrible there, but as Max says, we did enough space at the top. There's just not enough room for me, really. And if you look there, it is a little bit sideways, and taking that, for me, in the middle, is a little bit extra risky now. You know, it's been quite a strong day and all this, but you know, now I'm going for 2 points. I want it just to be right, and it's just not right enough. Yeah, I mean, as I say, if you're going for a point, that's not such a problem. Is there enough room for a point there? Absolutely. See, I go for 3. Not that 1, 2, 3, maybe a triple test. May struggle, maybe if I don't know. We've broke that measured move, so we've had that measured move, so tough one, isn't it? I think when you've been trading a while, you don't have to bother counting anymore. You can just look at the picture and say, I either like it or I don't. And this one is just not get me excited. I think it's surprising how you get that sixth sense just to look at it and go, I either like it or I don't. I'm not worried about it. Is it second entry by the count? Mac will mark second entries many times, and there won't be second entry technically, but they're clearly, all the second entry is just 2 legs down. And if we drop below there and had a bullish bar sat on there, I'd jump all over that. But unfortunately, it started as an inside bar and it finished right close to the top. So it's a no-go. As frustrating as it is sometimes, if you let the stress and the patience and frustrations get the better and you think, oh, I'll have a go, that's often when things don't work. And if it means leaving trade after trade and waiting for then it's a much better way of doing it, because you're going to take a lot more winners. And what you don't want to be doing is taking losses, because every time you take a loss, it takes you probably a trade and a half just to get back to where you were. And psychologically, we see that as we've lost money and we've got to make it back. Wrong way to look at it, of course. we shouldn't look at it as winning or making money. We should look about it as trading, and the money is just a byproduct. And at the end of the month, we'll look at what we've made. You know, the best thing to do is to not look at what you're making day by day. Forget it until the end of the month. Unfortunately, as relatively inexperienced we are, it's very easy to kind of forget that. So we're up to the highs now. There's nothing I can do here, unfortunately. So we've been going nearly 3 hours and 45 minutes, so I'm done for the day. I may come back for an hour, but the way price is today, I don't think it's worth it, to be honest with you. I've got a few more bits to do in the garden. So nice fitting channel, but unfortunately there's no real way in for the most. There was 2 legs back there. A couple of people took that, but that signal bar, in my opinion, it's finished right in the middle. You can't take it. It finished a little better there, so maybe it's worth taking. I mean, it worked. But I kind of think if I'm trading 2 contracts, I like to get it right, and the maybes I'd rather stay away from. But, you know, some people might go, it's good enough, let's go. I mean, I've seen Mac take trades with single bars as average looking as that, and, you know, I suppose it depends who you are, doesn't it? Yeah, you too, Gap, Daryl. Igor, yeah, you too, buddy. So look, I appreciate your company. Thursday tomorrow, so we're past halfway already during this week. There you go. You take it easy, Karina. So have a good one, guys. Best of luck. I hope you get a setup, whether it continues to do this for the rest of the day or whether you finally get some move. But have a great evening. Stay safe, and we'll catch up same time tomorrow. Bye for now.